You're listening to the Chandler Burton Podcast. Turn it up to 11 and rip the knob off. This is Chandler Burton.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Chandler Burton Podcast. I'm your host. Dude, look at this guy. I love this guy already, man. Let's
go. It's so nervous energy. It's nervous energy, right, man? Look, I'm fucking nervous. Like,
do you get nervous?
Let's go.
Do you get nervous when you do like reaction videos and stuff? You seem
very man. See,
really?
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt your introduction. So if you want to take it away, you take the center stage, and I'll chill. I'll try and shut up. It's nervous energy right now. We'll talk about this in a second, okay?
No, dude, you're totally good, man.
Center stage is yours. It's yours.
Already love this guy. We got Drew Fortune on the podcast, who is another reactor in the metal scene. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I gotta set the record straight before we get into it. I left my man Chandler waiting a long time here. Like I'm very bad at like picking times and like sticking to a time because I just don't trust myself to be on time. So I didn't give Chandler a time. I just said, look, I'll be ready later on because I know if I set a time, I'm gonna somehow fuck it up. And lo and behold, I didn't set a time. And then I told Chandler that I was gonna be ready in like 5 minutes, and then none of my IT equipment worked. So I had to pretty much reset up everything again. It took like 20 minutes. So even when I don't set a time, I'm late. So I appreciate you having me on, man. It's good to be here. Like I said to you in the little conversation we had before we started, this is the first like metal podcast I've done. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome, dude. So you've done other podcasts before, just not like metal, or?
So I've been like making videos for like 6 years, I think now at this point. Okay. Now I only got into the metal side in the past, like kind of seriously over the last year and a half, but I've been kind of doing metal related content for the last like 2.5-3 years. Gotcha. Before that, when I started, basically I was in college and I've always had a kind of like a love for, excuse me, I'm drinking Guinness here as well, so I'm a little bit
you're good.
a little bit gassy, you know. I need to have a drink just to settle the nerves, you know. The Irish stereotype just running through me, you know.
I love it, dude.
But yeah, man. So I actually did one podcast a few years back. Like we're talking maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it was actually in person. This is before like online things became such a big thing. You know, now the guy was in Ireland, so it wasn't anything to do with metal. It was more just I kind of made videos, and I suppose where I'm from, a little bit unique at the time. I think content creation has become a lot more accepted, as I'm sure you've seen over the last few years. It's kind of more normal now to just like record yourself making videos. Whereas when I was doing it like 5-6 years ago, it was in college. So to be honest, the university I went to wasn't the most judgmental place, but I think, when you're kind of at that age, like 20, I was like 20, like 19, 20 when I started. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of that. So yeah, it was literally just a kind of like a lifestyle channel I did. I just made videos, man. I was like kind of vlogging and just trying to like find a niche. I just started on YouTube with no plan. I was like, I like the idea. I'll watch a lot of YouTubers, and I just literally kind of vlogged. And like, to be honest, I had like 500 to 1,000 subscribers, pretty like low in the grand scheme of things, like compared to where I'm at now.
Right.
And it was just a kind of a chat in person. So that was technically the first podcast I've ever done. And this is, I would consider this one to be the first, real podcast that I've done. This was the last one was kind of like no real market or target towards it. It was just kind of like, so how you been, man? Yeah, you have a channel, what do you do? Like there's no real there's no like theme around it. Obviously this is like we're going to be talking music and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
I love that, dude. That's super cool. And it's probably because I wanted to have you on because you're so handsome. That's one thing too, dude. Like, seriously.
Look, you did say this in the intro.
I did.
Look, just a disclaimer, I did say you have to say this on camera. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And yourself, of course. Of course.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it, man. Well, dude, thanks again for coming on. Seriously, I am so excited to like talk to you, dude. Because again, like it may sound a little weird, but like so kind of how we met was like you left a comment on the Metal Burb podcast I did with him. Super nice. I was like, dude, but you had that little check mark, and I was like, dude, I've never heard of this dude before. So that's when I went to go watch your stuff, and I was like, wow, dude, Homeboy's pretty successful on YouTube, it seems like, man. That's super cool. So again, I appreciate the comment for you leaving that on the Metal Burb podcast. That was really, really nice of you, dude.
Of course, man. Yeah, no, to be honest, I hadn't heard of your channel before. Obviously, I heard it through Metal Burp, so shout out to Metal Burp for being the connect there.
Yeah.
But look, a lot of people kind of, I think if I see good content or something that I enjoy, regardless of like channel size, if I, have a bigger channel than someone else, I just like to, I got a good kick out of like showing appreciation. I think it's kind of like I wouldn't even say like it's like a personality trait, but I think a few years back I kind of made a conscious effort to, like, it would be so easy to just watch that and like lurk in the shadows, even though I enjoyed it, like It would be so easy to just like skip it off. But I know from my own experience creating content over the last few years, like comments are a massive driving factor to continuing to do something. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
As much as you may love it as a passion, like it can dry up sometimes. You can get, demotivated, as you know yourself. You go through like peaks and valleys of motivation. So something as simple as a nice comment from someone, regardless of channel size, can be like the spark that you need to just keep going. So anytime I see something that I enjoy, I'll let them know, so I think it's a good like habit to get into. Regardless of what content it is, if it's entertaining, just let them know. I think there's a lot of negativity on YouTube and that kind of thing with comments and that kind of thing. So it's nice to just to really focus on that, So
I think
but genuinely, it comes from a place of honesty as well, because I watch a lot of shit as well, which I don't comment on. You know what I mean? So it's nice to actually be able to watch something that you enjoyed and just let them know. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
No, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, and that's when I started watching you, and I was like, man, this guy's like really cool, and like you're really funny and seem really laid back. And I was, dude, you're like you're quality in your videos and everything that you do. You take it so seriously, but you're also really cool and funny about it. Dude, I watched it the other day before I had you. I watched your Doom Switch of Make Them Suffer, and you're like, dude, that girl is so hot. And I was like, dude, he's saying what we're all thinking, which I thought was, I was laughing so hard, dude. I was like, dude, this guy's great.
yeah. Look, I mean, sometimes maybe there's a time and place for the honesty, but it was glaringly obvious, and I was like, I wonder how many people are actually just state the complete obvious thing going on here, because you can kind of like with videos like that, you can write a very like almost, I won't say dangerous line, but you know what the world is like these days. There's a lot of people that are a little bit too soft.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, like we're all thinking it. Let's just state the obvious. Get it out there. She's obviously very, very talented. There's no denying that. She is talented,
absolutely.
But there's an element of beauty to it as well. So like, I'm just going to put it out there and say it. And look, the comments, like people acknowledge that as well. You weren't the only one to even bring that up. People were laughing at it as well. It was all kind of just tongue in cheek. There was much to it, but
just having fun.
It was exactly. That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, dude, I love that, dude. So I'm actually I just know you from watching your videos. We've talked a few times on Instagram, but dude, I'm really excited to like get to know like you as a person. So like, dude, just tell us about yourself. I know you said you worked in IT. You're from Ireland, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Dude, I'm from so sick.
Yeah, I'm from. It's easier to say Dublin, but I'm technically not from Dublin because I feel like it's just an easier way to go about it than trying to explain. It's basically, I'm from Kildare, which is a county, which is, I don't know if you guys have the same kind of, you're from the States, yeah?
Yeah, I'm from Washington State. That's where I live right now.
Okay, right. Yeah, okay. So in Ireland, we have like counties basically just separated. I'm not going to go into it. Basically, Dublin is here and Kildare is like right beside it. I'm like the border between Dublin and Kildare. So I'm technically from Kildare. But for the sake of like videos and that kind of thing, trying to explain to people, well, I'm technically from the border, but I would have more of a Dublin accent than anything else. So, yeah, man, I'm from Kildare, technically, in Ireland. And God, when someone asks you to like explain who you are, it's like, it's the hardest thing in the world, man. It's like, who am I? Like, who the fuck am I? But yeah, I guess from like people may know me for obviously the reactions and especially the metal community now at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I started on YouTube about 6 years ago, creating content literally around anything I could find. And the way I got into like the reaction side of things was, to be honest, there's only so much you can vlog about a life that you're not really doing anything. I was going to college, this is again when I was like 19, 20. And I wanted to, like, I knew I loved creating content, but there was obviously all these, like I've mentioned, the peaks and valleys of like going through stages of motivation.
Right.
There's only so much you can record yourself, like going to the gym. And, like I wasn't like a fitness influencer guy. So
yeah.
I didn't have like the knowledge to back that up in a video. So that was like a part of the videos. But I always knew I wanted to do something. So eventually I was like, I need to find something consistent that I can actually stick with, And it was kind of in and around the time when reaction videos, I know they've been a thing for a few years, but I feel like it's become a lot more common now. You know, back when I was starting, there was definitely a lot of channels that were doing it. I kind of got into like the hip hop side of things initially.
Oh, okay.
And then I kind of just like, so I was doing like, I started off doing like kind of any popular hip hop at the moment at that particular time. And slowly just kind of started following trends, to be honest with you, man. I wanted to be consistent on YouTube. I always felt like I was just following trends to a certain extent, but I think that is, I consider this good advice for anyone who's trying to get into YouTube as well. If you don't really know what you want to do, but you know you want to be a creator, follow trends until something sticks.
That's a good,
you know, you get, you know, like, because a lot of people will say, you know, oh, well, like I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to make videos, or I want to create content, I want to do a podcast, but I don't know what to do it about. And to be honest, I'm glad, you know, that I don't have the same kind of like, I overthink things a lot more now than I would have when I was younger.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I just kind of did shit. I was like, let's go do it. Like, I didn't care about what anyone thought. I was like, let's just go do this. Let's start it and see what happens. And I just followed that kind of mindset. Whereas now I'm a little bit more reluctant. Like even coming on the podcast, I was like, man, like overthinking it so much. You know what I mean? Like just unnecessarily overthinking everything.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? You know, what could I say? That could be like just unnecessary shit, you know, man. Like now I'm chilled out, I'm relaxed, but it's like the initial, like, oh God, like what's gonna happen? But you know, so I'll go through a lot of rambles as well. But
no, I love it. Dude. I love that.
Bottom line is, I got into just kind of creating any sort of reaction videos around like any music that was popular at the time. A lot of those videos gained a lot of views, which we'll get onto it. But I think my subscriber count, I know obviously I'm over the 100K mark, but from from a numbers standpoint, I'm technically one of the bigger metal reaction channels from a number standpoint, but I still see myself as like not anywhere near like the guys like Metal Burb, Hardcore, you know, Nick Nocturnal. Like there's so many different names you can throw out there, because although I have a bigger subscriber count, I feel like my numbers are like very much so inflated because of how my channel has grown. Right. Like my channel blew up a lot. Like I was getting like 10K subs a month, like at one point, like crazy numbers with like, but again, it was following these trends, man. Like I was just going with things that were popular, you know, getting my sister involved as well. Like, you know, so obviously I mean, let's be honest, when there's a female involved in the thumbnail, it just gets clicks, you know what I mean? Like, so that was, again, like being honest, like a lot of my most viewed videos are with my sister. They blow up a lot. Like, and obviously there's a little bit of like understanding that, which got a bit weird because I was like, right, I understand that my channel's blowing up a lot with my sister on it. So it kind of became a weird dynamic. It was like, do you want to come on for a video? And then I was like, this is weird. You know what I mean? I'm kind of getting her on for views at that point.
Right. So, yeah, I get that.
Like, and look, we enjoyed it. It was good. Like people enjoyed having her on, but there was like always this weird kind of elements. But anyway, so follow trends. And what I was getting onto with the inflated subscriber count is, if you look at the views that say Hardcore, myself, Metal Burb, and a lot of the guys would get, although I've got, like, in theory, I should be getting more views. Like, my numbers aren't on their level because the metal community is obviously what I'm trying to, you know, attack now at the moment. You know, obviously there's a lot of, you know, metal people that will watch my videos, but it's not like 110 odd thousand people that are subscribed for metal. Yeah. Like, I think my channel, when I got into metal, was on like 60,000, 70, 80,000 subscribers. Okay. So like realistically, I'd say I've probably got like my numbers that I would get on videos probably reflect a channel that has like 40,000 subscribers, I would say. Which is kind of an interesting dynamic because obviously, like you said with the check mark and the comments, it's kind of like a fun thing to do on videos. Like when you have like a little check mark on your name on YouTube, you just kind of like, you just get bumped to the top of like YouTube comment sections pretty much immediately because most people are just kind of commenting on, you know, just their personal accounts. Yeah. So, but it's just funny because, you know, like I'm very aware of the fact that my views don't really reflect the number of subscribers I have because I've gone through so many different phases of content. Yeah. Where like a lot of the people that I would have picked up early on, like they're only interested in whatever I was reacting to that was popular at the time, and now that's completely gone. So there's a little bit. There's like, it's weird because obviously it's a great thing to have to say I have like 100,000 subscribers, but at this point I actually don't give a fuck about the actual number anymore. I used to care about getting to 100,000 subscribers. That was like a massive goal of mine. Right. Now, like my channel grows at like a very steady, slow rate, like compared to what it was at. But I'm just over that. You know what I mean? Now I really much so prefer the comments that I get, you know, the really positive comments, people saying, you know, I really enjoyed this video, or just even like the connection that you get from like, even whether it be on Patreon, you know, you start to build you know, a deeper relationship. So although now like my channel is growing out slower, it's actually shot up a lot in terms of engagement and, you know, it's good. The actual community feel. Like before I was reacting to so much random shit that I never felt like there was a community. Although there was a lot of people watching, it was so scattered between like, I'd react to this one day, like some UFC event, and then I'd react to some singer from like the Philippines, and then I'd react to like some random like genre. Then I'd maybe sprinkle in a little bit of metal. So like there's so many views coming in, and in theory it looks like I got this huge channel, but like part of me kind of regrets the way in which I went about it. So I'm kind of contradicting myself in the sense that I say, follow trends until you find something that sticks. But also at the same time, along the way, I picked up a lot of subscribers that are technically not subscribers anymore. So it does look like I've kind of like almost inflated these numbers, so
yeah,
it's a weird one. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I think you should, I don't even, if you want to fire questions at me, because I just rambled there for so long, I don't even know if I touched on anything,
No, that's actually really cool. I like what you were saying. I love like picking up what people have to say, and it's like, it's interesting that you say follow the trends, because I think honestly that is a good way to do it, because I know there's a lot of people who want to get into content, but they're like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. So yeah, doing stuff like that can really help. And then eventually I always tell people like, dude, you can find, you'll find something that works. Like I back in the day, I have like 6 other YouTube channels. They didn't go anywhere. They're all like, terrible, like crappy, when I was like a teenager, like old videos like that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, like eventually I really got back into YouTube because I lost my job during COVID. And so I needed something to do while I was trying to find work. And I was like, I had a podcast while during COVID. So I was like, I'll just use my YouTube channel to upload the podcast that I already previously did that was already on like Spotify and stuff like that. And then I was like, like I think it'd be cool to like do like reaction videos and stuff. Like I've always loved music, and I was like, I think that would be something that I'd be really, genuine and have fun with. And I looked up how to do it, and I kind of just learned that I loved it. And so I think, yeah, like kind of following, like, in a sense, like, because I would watch a lot of, like, I watch like FYM Reacts, Metal Burb, I watch all those guys, and I'd be like, I would love to just at least try it to see if I got any sort of success. And I was like, you know what, I never thought I almost hit, like, I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers, and I never thought I would ever hit a number like that. But I know what you were saying too. Like, I used to do certain reactions to certain artists where the people who subscribed to me only wanted to see that certain artist. I used to do a lot of Elite Bata. I don't know if you heard of that guy. He's from I think he's from India. I think he plays like guitar really well, dude.
I know the name. Did you speak about this on the Metal Bear podcast? I think I remember you guys.
I did. Yeah, I did talk about it.
Yeah, I remember the name, and then I actually looked it up because I was like, I actually kind of recognize that name because I did a lot of like Indian, like Asian, Filipino artists and that kind of thing back when I was doing videos as well. So the name definitely came up before,
Yeah, he brings in I have one video I was looking at my more popular videos, and the highest one is him with like almost 38,000 subscribers. Views. I'm sorry, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's crazy. But then as I started to put out like stuff from Wage War or other Fit for a King, I noticed my view count was super low. I was like, why are people watching this? And even now, like, and it's not like it's never a competition. Like, I'll see some of my friends who have a lower subscriber count get way more views than I do, and I have more subscribers than them. And so it's definitely a trial and error type thing that I've had to personally learn. Like, I've made a lot of, I don't want to say mistakes because I've learned everything, but yeah, what you were saying, man. Yeah, following trends and doing stuff like that, kind of just figuring things out. And I appreciate you being honest about your channel. I mean, honestly, just from looking at it, you're like, dude, he's got a lot of subscribers. And then you kind of explained how that all works. And I really appreciate you being honest about that, man. I don't think most people would probably do that. So I appreciate that, dude.
Like, I mean, it's kind of one of these things that, like, it's that separation from numbers again. Like, I'm so beyond the point. Like, I don't care. Like, it's like, oh, you have 100,000 subscribers. It's like, I'm over it so long ago. It's kind of like, once I hit it, I was like, now what? It means nothing. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, I could get 100,000 subscribers and there could be like 100 people watching, so it's the number doesn't matter. But again, also to a certain extent, I kind of, it's such a weird contradiction all the time because I say, like, it doesn't matter about the number of subscribers, it matters about the actual viewers. But then again,
for sure,
it also doesn't, because it's the, like, engagement of those viewers that's really important. If you have 100 people that are completely devoted to your channel, it's better than 10,000 people that watch just because they're bored and they don't actually give a fuck.
True.
Like, so it's just completely different perspectives, man. And it's just try not to get, like, the bottom line, I think, is just try not to get too tied up in it. Like, that's the bottom line. It's just like, do you enjoy doing it? Yes. That's the only thing. Just continue to do it, and look, you'll find success in some way, shape, or form along the way, whether that be in the form of you made one video that got 100,000 views, 500,000 views, or you made one video that really touched like 50 people. It's just completely down to your own perspective, and that can change over time. Like sometimes you'll just be like, do you know what? I just want to make a banger video that gets loads of views and people like enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you'll see a comment and you're like, this is what it's all about. So it's just constantly evolving, man. It's always changing, So
it's always
just not getting too tied up.
Yeah, for sure. It's always so different. Yeah, I always try to just stay. I'm just grateful that people even sometimes 20 people watch my videos. Like I'm like, that's cool, man. I think it's cool that people take the time to click on it and just watch it. To me, that's like the coolest thing. Like I know I don't bring in like a ton of views right now. On some videos I do, but it's like still like it's so cool to see like people like when they leave a nice comment, or I try to bring a lot of mental health into my video. So like if the song's like if the song has like a really personal meaning, I'll generally share like a life story. And I'll tell you, man, I've gotten a lot of message on Instagram or Twitter saying like, dude, thank you for sharing that story. And that actually is what keeps me going, is like when they say like, dude, your honesty really helped me. And I was like, I was just trying to just share a story, and it help people. So I was like, that's it, man. To me, that's it. That's why I keep doing it. That's how I avoid the burnout. That's how I avoid like, trying to overstep things. Like why aren't my numbers doing better? At the end of the day, it's like if I can help one person, I feel really good about it, dude. It's fantastic. Of course, man, it's
absolutely.
So good,
look, at the end of the day, we're not exactly in a niche or a genre that is going to bring in, like, if we really wanted to get a lot of views, we'd be doing other content, you know what I mean? Like, and I've seen that over the years with, like, I've seen massive view counts and that kind of thing, but it's just like, I just wasn't being fulfilled by it. I could get a video that has 1 million views, but if I didn't really like care about the content, like, to be fair, I always tried to be very open-minded with my videos.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I just hated the videos that I was doing and I just did them for the sake of it. It was more so, I've got a very broad music taste. So a lot of the stuff I was doing would be like kind of stuff that I wouldn't really care about, like very mainstream stuff.
Right.
But like, it's just, it didn't really satisfy me after a certain point. I just wanted to see that growth consistently coming in. But now I feel like I'm in a lot more, what's the word? Maintainable? Is that a word? Like level where, like, I feel like very, like, I've got like a nice baseline now where, now it's just, I want to just see steady growth. Because at the end of the day, look, we all want to see growth in the channel. Like, there's no point denying that, you want to see, but it's trying to like ride that line of not overdoing it for the views and trying to grow the channel and just being genuine, like you said, like with the comments and stuff that you receive from people. Like, funny enough, I've actually got a video that's dropping tomorrow. It's the Architects, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. I did that full album reaction.
Nice.
And man, like, I was tearing up, like, I was getting so emotional in that video, like, and that's like the amount of like what's the word for that? Like, they're the kind of videos that I live for now. You know what I mean? Like, being able to put out content like that, because even like I put it up on Patreon like a few days earlier, and then I just upload the whole thing on YouTube. That's generally how I'm kind of running the channel at the moment.
Yeah.
And like, from the people that have watched it on Patreon so far, like, it's seeing the comments of like their own stories of when they heard this album for the first time, and obviously the meaning behind it with Tom Searle passing away.
Oh yeah.
Right, for like, just, man, just all that, like, that hit me so hard, that album, because obviously I see the comments from people who watch my videos that are like so passionate about this storyline of this album, and they like take time out of their day to like write a whole paragraph about, this is the story behind this album and this kind of thing. And then when you actually go into it, you're so like amped up and prepared for this story. And then you feel like such a deep sense of connection with the community again, because you're feeling those same emotions that they've described in their, their time that they've taken to tell you about it. So that's the kind of shit I live for, man,
I love that, dude. That's so cool. I think that's really awesome. And it's cool that you're like reacting to like Architects. You see Architects are like one of the biggest metalcore bands, and I'm like, man, how is somebody not listen to Architects? But then, seeing your reaction through it, you're like, it's cool to like relive, like, oh man, I remember when I listened to that album for the first time, and I'm just like, dude, it's so good. I mean, they're so good at what they do, and that album is truly incredible, dude. Also, you got some cool albums behind you, dude. Got Bad Omens. Is that Monuments right there? So too?
I'll go through them. So I've got a few more, but I need to actually buy some more as well. So here we've got Valjarta Mastadon Nevatan. You can kind of see it like just here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is, I think that was my number one album of last year. Now again, see, this is, and again, just like you touched on with the whole Architects thing, this is where I think my channel is finding its own home at the moment, is that, like I said, I've kind of got into metal. Like, I listened to metal when I was growing up through Call of Duty. Like, I used to play Call of Duty religiously when I was a kid.
Okay.
Like, to be honest, I only stopped playing recently because that game sucks now. But like over the last few years, like that kind of COD 4, COD 5 era when like sniping montages and everything were a thing.
Oh yeah.
That's how I kind of first got my taste of metal music, because obviously you would have had like oh man, what are the bands? Like Skillet, oh
Skillet? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes. So like they were all like bands that I would have heard, like I think is Chevelle. Is it Chevelle?
I think
that song they have the red, yeah. So these are all bands that I would have been exposed to, like Breaking Benjamin. Obviously, they were like big at the time. Well, they're still fucking class. I love Breaking Benjamin, but like back in the back like 10 years ago, they were absolutely unbelievable. So, that would have been my first exposure to metal through Call of Duty montages.
Nice.
Never really thought much of it. Like I just kind of, that's how I first got my taste of it. I've always had like quite an open-minded taste for music, but through my kind of teenage years, I liked like the kind of scene in Ireland, like people grow up listening to kind of like dance music, electronic music, techno music. That's like very popular with like the night scene, like in nightclubs and that kind of thing. So naturally growing up, I always gravitated towards the really heavier techno elements. No, like don't get me wrong, I love like a good like nice dancing song with like some female vocals, some pop style vocals over a dance beat. But I kind of grew up like I always gravitated towards the heavier kind of rave music, and that's just naturally with my like initial kind of like I suppose undiscovered love for metal. It kind of just evolved into and then with the channel going, so there was like a lot of different kind of streams of my life that all kind of flowed into one avenue. Like I was doing the YouTube and trying to find my way with that. Yeah. And then, obviously I always had this love for like kind of heavy electronic dance music. And then it all just kind of came into this, what we're doing now, So, but what I was saying is that like, I think that's where my channel kind of finds its own home at the moment, is that a lot of the channels, like I previously mentioned, like, I mean, there's so many at the moment, but like I'll just use Metal Burb, Hardcore, Nick Nocturnal, because I've used them already. Yeah. Like these channels, these guys have obviously been listening to metal for years. They've been, self-proclaimed metalheads for years. Right. So they've lived through these album releases, like Architects, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. I'm assuming they were listening to metal at that time, like yourself. Yeah. So you would have heard those albums when they were released. So it's like, I think that's where my channel finds its own niche within like a niche itself. Like I know we're quite niche music that we listen to. Because I can kind of go back. A lot of these guys are like really on the ball with like older bands, and they know when new bands are coming, like, bands are coming out with new releases. I'm kind of like working back.
I like that though. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, man, I love it because I don't have to wait for any releases because
they're already there. Yeah.
Yeah. But then also the new part now over the last kind of like 6 months to a year, because I've already like, I just spent like so much time last year reacting to new albums and discovering new bands. Before I was just doing like single reactions, so I never really got a good taste of a band. You need to really listen to an album from start to finish to know if you really fuck with a band, because you can listen to a single from a band and it's completely out of context of the whole album, and it doesn't really hit the same as if it was with the entire album. So this year I've found now I'm like 2023 feels like a really cool year for me as well, because I've got like 60, 70 plus bands that I've kind of listened to over the last year or so.
Yeah, dude.
And a lot of them are kind of, dropping new albums and stuff. So now I feel like I'm kind of coming into a new like era of the channel where, although I've still got a shit ton of bands to catch up on, like albums and stuff that are like absolutely huge that I've just never actually heard, I've got like all the new releases that are coming out this year. There's some massive releases of metalcore and that kind of thing, and like prog as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like really looking forward to like that avenue of the channel. But anyway, that was a bit of a
I love it, dude. Thing. No, that's cool.
So yeah, we got Moustafa Navan. We've got Meshuggah Immutable here.
Nice.
We have, this one is a new edition. It's Tool's Opiate. To be honest, I got it as a Christmas present. Don't even like that album, but it's on the wall now, so there you have it. But,
love it, dude.
Then we got In Stasis Monuments. We have Bad Omens, Death of Peace of Mind. We have North Lane Obsidian, which was again one of my favorite projects from last year.
Very nice.
Again, going back to the the kind of roots of music that I loved. That album was humongous for me because it has so much electronic dance music elements. Like that Abomination song where it's like a full-on techno rave.
It is, yeah.
It was like, I was sitting there and I was like, this can't be like a genre. Like there's no way they've implemented music that, so I fell in love with that album straight away. Yeah. And then North Lane like posted highlights to my entire reaction all over their Instagram.
Oh, that's
their
sick.
Facebook, their Twitter. So I woke up one day and I just had like loads of new followers and like a tag from North Lane. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And they just like, they're like, come join Drew Fortune in his reaction to Obsidian, man. I was like blown away because I was fanboying them so hard at the time. And then I just see like, I just wake up and I'm like, you just wake up like, I'm really bad for doing this first thing in the morning. You like look at your phone.
Oh, I do that all the time. Yep.
And the first thing I see is like my phone. I'm like, okay, what have I done?
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, we're in trouble.
I was like, what? Oh yeah. I was like, oh god, this isn't good. And then I just see North End, and man, that was like a big fanboy moment for me. But anyway,
I bet, dude.
This is, you can't really see it up here, but this is Tesseract's. God, what's the name of this album? I'm so.
I don't know much of Tesseract, so I don't know if I don't.
Tesseract were my like gateway into genty prog.
Okay, nice.
My whole top row is dedicated to Tesseract. So this is Altered State by Tesseract in the middle. This is still my all-time favorite album. Then this is, what's the name of it? Is it Sonder by Tesseract here? Let me get it down. So really plain kind of artwork. I like the kind of simplicity of it. But this, I would say, is probably my least favorite Tesseract album. The only Tesseract album I don't have at the moment is One, which is their first album, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is, let me put that there. That's actually the most recent album. So yeah, it's a bit of a like decline for me to a certain extent, but this is their second studio album, I believe, which is the one in the middle, the Altered State. And that one's a bit heavy, so I'm not going to attempt to pull it down.
No good. No
so that is Altered State. That actually has a vocalist called Ash O'Hara, who I don't believe currently does vocals still, but if you like a good lead singer, like, I don't think there's any screams in it. There's no like harsh vocals. Yeah, I'm not the biggest harsh vocal fan.
Yeah.
But this album just ticks all the boxes to me, man. It's just pure genty prog. It's beautiful, like amazing melodies and that kind of thing. So that was like the first prog album I ever fell in love with. Like I lost my shit for that. And then the final one up at the top here is again Tesseract. That is their album Polaris. So again, that's a fun one. That's a different vocalist, Dan Tompkins. And yeah, man, they were my, like, I was the biggest Tesseract fanboy. I still am, to be honest. They also should have an album dropping this year, so I'm going to be like, I'm going to be all over that. I would highly recommend, man, if you're into the prog scene at all, Tesseract is a beautiful fucking band, man. Listen to Altered State if you get a chance. It'll probably, I don't know if it'll get blocked. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure my videos are still up. But even in your own time, man, Altered State by Tesseract is a beautiful album. The vocalist is excellent.
Awesome, dude. Give me some new stuff to react to, man. Check it out. I love it.
Of course, man. Yeah, look, that can be like a little collab as well. After this, you can just say, look, this was recommended by Drew, and you know, dude, I'll be all over that shit, man. I'm going to be all over that watching that. So,
heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, and then I think I've got like some more under here. I've got like some Gojira albums and that kind of thing, but I need to add a lot more.
Yeah, man.
There's a few albums that I really need to add. I've listened to over the last while, but I just don't have enough space on my walls anymore. So that's kind of the reason.
All my vinyls here is kind of stacked in my closet. I'm like, I have nowhere to put these, so I'm like, I need to figure out a way to like put them on my wall or something. So yeah, dude, vinyls are awesome. It's so cool to collect them, that they're, especially something that you love, it's coming back. Like, I just think that's so sick, dude. That's super, super sick.
It's something I never really cared about, but
yeah,
it's like one I like it as a background piece. It's nice to
it looks nice.
It's nice if I really fuck with an album to like kind of mark that by actually buying a physical record, you know. To be honest, half of those albums I haven't even opened. I just buy them for the piece of it. Yeah. I've got a pretty shitty record player that's not even mine at home. Yeah. And like, to be honest, it just doesn't do it justice, you know what I mean? If I want to listen to like the album, I'll just throw these on and you know, I've got a nice sound here. I get it. It's like a nice thing to sit down with a drink and just, you know, put on a record, but it's in my house and my parents don't particularly love the style of music that I listen to either. So it wouldn't go down very well if I started blasting through the record player. So yeah. So
I feel that, dude. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. How do you manage all this and work full time, dude? Like, when I saw your subscriber count, I was like, dude, this guy's got to be doing YouTube full time. Then I saw you posted something, I was like, oh, he works? I was like, what the? I thought YouTube was like your main job. So you do IT. So how does that, if you don't mind bringing us into your world, like, do you go, like, do you work from home? Do you go to people's houses and work? Do you work for a company, or how does that all?
So obviously I'll veer slightly away from the company side of things, but yeah, like, I've no problem talking about like what I do. Yeah. So I work in IT. I'm like a desktop field support engineer. So basically I have to be on site, which makes my life with this a lot harder because my previous job, I had like a hybrid system. So I worked 1 week in the office, and then 1 week at home, and that just rotated all the time. So that week, a lot more free time. That was kind of like my week where I'd use a lot of time. Like, because once I finish at like, say, 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I have the rest of the evening. Just like I'm sitting at this desk, I close the laptop that I work with, put it down, turn on the camera, and I'd have time.
Yeah.
Now, with the new job I'm in, I work fully on site. So like, I'm like up at 6 a.m. Monday to Friday, get home by like 6:30, and then it's any time after that, and it gets very dark early in Ireland, so like it's dark mornings, dark evenings. It's it's grim. Yeah. But look, I can't complain. I was only speaking to someone about this last night. It's kind of like, it's a first world problem. Look, I mean, if I can't come home after a long day and do what I love, then I clearly don't love it. You know what I mean? So
Right,
it's one of those things. It's nice to keep a consistent income coming in. Now, obviously down the line, it's a pipeline dream to be able to do this as a full-time job.
Yeah.
But I also see the other side of it as well. I think that if this became my full-time job, I think it starts to become almost like you feel like you have to do it as opposed to you want to do it, if that makes sense.
Of course, yeah.
Like, you know, it's kind of like now I'm doing this to actually make money because I'm not working a full-time job. You know,
Right.
like if I stop doing this now, like I still have my full-time income coming from my 9 to 5.
Exactly. Yeah.
Some days I wake up and I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this 9 to 5? Like I should just be focusing on YouTube full-time.
Yeah, I feel that.
And again, it's this like mental cluster of just like, what am I doing? You know, it's like I have the potential in my mind to go full at this and make this my full-time job. But it's like, you know, I need to pay rent. Like I need to keep some level of security in my life as well. So it's this constant like mental kind of tug of war. But it's a first world problem, man. Look, I'm very blessed to be in this situation. You know, it's I've got a lot of support over the last 6 months. To be honest, I kind of started up the Patreon again. I had it running like years back when I first started the channel, and it's just gone from strength to strength over the last 6 months. So like,
yeah, it's awesome, man.
I'm really trying to like see what I can do this year. I'd love to be in a position where I can have the option at the end of this year to say, right, I can do this full time. You know, even if it's like just the bare minimum wage in Ireland, I'm like, okay, well, look, at least, you know, I'm earning the same as someone who might be earning a minimum wage in Ireland. So I have an excuse to kind of go at it full time now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, it's just about letting go of that security. You know, that's the big step. So we'll see what happens.
It's scary though. I couldn't imagine, like, for me, it's like, dude, not having that secure source of income and be like, because again, YouTube, as we were kind of talking, it can go all over, dude. Like, you just never know like what's gonna happen, and you know, you're like, you need that money, you got to pay for everything. So it's like, it'd be so scary. I'd be like, I don't know if I could do this, dude. It'd be really cool. I think I'd really enjoy it, but yeah, it's a big risk for sure. I know Metal Bird does it. I don't know. Do you know Orion Reacts?
I know him. Yeah, I don't know him personally. See, this is why this is one of the main reasons I want to come on and speak to you as well, is because I do feel like I'm quite I have a small group of, a big group of friends, but like I have my friends and then I've got like acquaintances. I don't really like, you know, I don't like to spread myself too thin. I like to keep my, you know, I like to keep good relationships with like a select amount of people.
Yeah.
And I don't like stray too far from the people I know, you know? So,
okay.
Like, I think that's a good trait to a certain extent, but I feel like in the community that we're in, because it's so niche, I do need to, expand, you know, a little bit more. And just even like, because anyone I've spoken to from this community, like yourself, like Metalburb, FYM Reacts, I know you mentioned him as well. He actually helped me set up a lot of camera work a long time ago, so I fucking appreciate that guy. He's a legend.
He helped me too. He helped me set up microphones.
He's like the most genuine guy, man. You know what I mean? Like,
he's so cool.
I was kind of like, we'd spoken, and like, man, he set up like full on tutorial videos on how to do shit. Like,
he did that for me too.
Slightly different, like my whole camera setup. Man, he really fucking set me up. So
yeah,
shout out to FYM Reacts, man. What an absolute legend.
Oh yeah.
But so like, I mean, I've had like acquaintances here and there, but like a lot of the guys I never really like spoke to. Again, I think it's maybe because Ireland's like metal scene is a little bit like, now there's people from Ireland that may be watching this that are in the metal scene that might disagree with me because they might go to like local shows. I'm not really into like the local scene. I would go and see a band absolutely if I actually liked the band. I wouldn't be going to like try and discover new talents. That's what my YouTube channel is for, you know.
Exactly.
I have people from all over the world that are like constantly recommending shit. So
yeah,
the Irish metal scene, in terms of just like, you know, local talent aside, Ireland gets like very few shows. So
I was gonna say, how does that work? Like, does any do you guys see? Does any band come through to you guys?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen it, but I had it as my like pinned video on YouTube, but it's since I removed it off and put a different video up, but we'll get into that. But it was Meshuggah came to Ireland not too long ago.
Okay.
And this is a sick story, man. Like, this is like one of my like Meshuggah have been my band for a while.
Yeah.
They're not like my favorite band, but I just feel like it's like the Tesseract album. I feel like it's such a sense of like community with the Meshuggah like fans and all that kind of thing. Like, I just love the band. They're just so brutal, and again, they're just pioneers in the kind of gent sound.
Absolutely.
So pretty cool story, but like I did a whole, if anyone who's listening to this is interested in hearing the whole thing, there should be a video on my channel called like how I got backstage access to Meshuggah's Dublin live show or something like that.
Sick.
But this was like a really cool, because Meshuggah are obviously a much older band. Like I think Jens Kidman, the lead singer or the lead vocalist, is like 58. I think so. He's getting on. Like they're not on social media, the members.
Right.
I know Meshuggah's they're on social media. They have a band social media, but like none of the members really like, you know, are reachable from that standpoint. So basically, long story short is I did like I've pretty much reacted to Meshuggah's entire discography. It would have been a lot easier if I did it in album format, but this was back like during like COVID and that kind of thing with lockdowns.
Yeah,
I was doing like, I just wanted to keep myself occupied, just keep something on my mind all the time. So I decided like I think it was January 2021. I decided to like do a daily upload on YouTube, which isn't that big of a deal. But again, I was working full time, so it was like I just set myself the goal because there was nothing else to do. You know, you couldn't really leave your house, so I was like, right, daily uploads. And over that like daily upload period, I got into a lot of Meshuggah, and I really fell in love with that band. I was kind of like doing a lot of the tracks off of Obzen. Okay. And man, that album slaps. Anyway, so long story short is I'd obviously kind of made a bit of a name for myself, being that guy who's like reacted to every single Meshuggah track when there wasn't a lot of people doing it. Yeah. A lot of people reacted to like Bleed, you know, all these popular tracks.
Popular ones, yeah.
But, and also just because like going back to it again, a lot of people probably have already heard it, you know what I mean? Whereas I was just getting into them for the first time. So I kind of had that scope to just discover everything, you know, so I could just do a video for everything. So one of the videos, I can't remember which one it was, but the lighting technician for Meshuggah, he dropped a comment on one of my videos. It's like a little light bulb. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have spotted it, but one of my like close online friends, shout out to Alex, he's one of these guys that I've been kind of like back and forth with for like years now at this point, since I was streaming on Twitch back in the day. And he like screenshotted the comments that I didn't notice, and he like sent it to me and said, hey, look, this is Meshuggah's light tech. So he commented on my video, and I was like, I just responded. I was like, oh man, this is brilliant, because Meshuggah's light tech, I don't know if you're familiar, they're like really known for their live shows. Like their live lighting is incredible. So he messaged me, and I just said, hey, look, looking forward to seeing the show in Dublin. Can't wait to see you live, you know, because he's like considered an additional member of the band, because he's like, if you see the videos of him, he's like live programming the lights with like, you know, touching buttons and stuff. It's not just like press one button and everything is just like synced up. He's doing it in like real time. So he's considered like an additional member of the band. It's crazy, man. Like,
insane,
so I was like a fan of him. Like it wasn't just some guy pressing a button that I didn't care about. It was like I consider him like almost a member of the band, especially when the band is so hard to reach. Like it felt weird for someone who's so closely linked to the band to just be commenting on my videos. So he messaged me on Instagram he said he commented back and said, reach out to me on Instagram. And this is probably like a month or two before the actual Dublin show. Yeah. And I'd already bought my ticket and everything. Like I just planned on going as normal. And he basically just said, look, meet me at the venue like 2 or 3 hours before the actual show. So I was like, oh man, this is going to be incredible. Dude, so this was only my second metal experience as well. Like I'd been to Slipknot with my sister like a few years back.
Oh really? That's cool.
Yeah. They played in like the 3 Arena, which is now called it's still called the 3 Arena. They played in like an arena show in Dublin. Again, I kind of went like, I'm not the biggest Slipknot fan in the world. I like a lot of their older music, but I just think they've kind of lost me over the years. So I think that's
totally fair.
General consensus with a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people, but you know.
I feel that.
So that was my first metal show, and then my first like real kind of like underground metal show, because Slipknot are obviously playing in big arenas. They're quite a commercially successful band.
Absolutely.
Whereas Meshuggah, you know, although they're massive in the gent world, they're like the pioneers of this sound.
Definitely.
They're still relatively unknown in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? So this was like my first metal experience. So to get like that backstage access, where basically I met the guy, and we met there and we went backstage, and like I was a little like, since the band, I don't think the band would have known me at all. Like, although I've made like a lot of videos, which a lot of videos were getting like a lot of views.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like maybe just by default they might know who I am, just because like someone might have shared it with them. But like I genuinely don't think they had a clue. So I didn't want to be that guy that went through. I didn't want to be that guy that went around and was like trying to get a picture with everyone, because I was like, they're a little bit older as well, and like I just don't think they're really like tuned in with the whole social media thing, you know. Whereas a lot of newer bands like Silent Planet, Currents, Invent Anime, like a lot of these bands are like, you know, they've got younger artists that are involved in the band. So I think they're just more clued in with the social media side of things. So I didn't want to be that annoying kid that ran over to like members with my camera out and like was getting pictures. So I just stayed well clear of that. You know, so that was a really fucking cool experience, man. I was there like all day. And then I just jumped into the front of the like I didn't want to stay backstage for the show or anything. I was like, I don't want to like I don't want to be that guy who just sits backstage and doesn't get involved. So just ran down into the pits and everything, and just I met a lot of people down there as well. That was a really cool experience. So
that's awesome.
That
dude.
was, I don't know where the fuck I even started there. I just went. So
that's awesome, dude. No, I think that's really cool. Does anyone recognize you like at shows, like when you go, like, oh, that's Drew, dude? Do people recognize you from your channel?
The Slipknot show, there was like one or two people towards the end. And again, it's kind of like, there's a weird thing as well. I can kind of tell, and this sounds very narcissistic or something, but you can kind of, there's a look that someone gives you when you know that they know who you are. It's weird. When you've seen it a few times, you kind of know. So I've seen it a few times around where like they'll kind of look at you and like it's like a double take, and it's like I'm all for people coming up. Like I'm an approachable person, but
yeah, you're super nice.
It's
dude.
like it's one of these things. But I understand. I'm also from the other end of the spectrum. If there's someone that I want to see or get a picture with or even just speak to, I'm the exact same. I don't want to like go and approach them. So I kind of like look at them and they're probably thinking the same thing because it's such a like obvious stare. It's like a very like obvious like without even pointing her. It's just like, so there's been a few at the Slipknot show at the end of the night. There's people actually at the start. There's a few guys that kind of came up to me and just said, "Hey, look, nothing like crazy. Just like people saying, hey, look, I watch the videos, blah blah blah." This was a while back. This is like 2 years ago. So obviously the channel in the metal scene has grown up a lot more
for sure.
So, but at the Meshuggah show, there was a lot of people. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of people that came up to me, and that was like, but it was just really like it was. Again, I wasn't surprised. I actually watched Metal Burbs podcast with Rachel Reacts. Did you watch that one recently?
I watched part of it. I need to finish it up.
Yeah. I watched like an hour and a half or something, like kind of on and off. But there was a segment in it that they were speaking about where they were talking about getting recognized at shows, and what was I going with that? I completely lost my train of thought. Meshuggah. Where? This has never happened to you before.
It happens all the time, dude. Yeah, I get that, man.
This is the thing about like normally with like when I'm making videos, it's just like, oh, I'll cut this part out. But now I'm like, what am I even thinking about? I don't know where I was going with that. Basically, bottom line is meeting people. We were talking about meeting people at shows.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Yes, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about how like you kind of expect to a certain extent to see people that will recognize you at shows because it's such, like we said, it's a niche community. If you like say react to like a Silent Planet or something, they're playing small shows. Like still they're a big band in the scene.
Right.
But like chances are if you're going and you're making like loads of videos on Silent Planet and like, all your content is based around like doing all their albums and stuff. If you go to one of their shows, you're probably bound to be known by at least 5-10 people,
probably,
like because it's such a niche community. People are like checking out the videos. Like the more niche the band is, there's more like kind of people snooping around looking for videos on them, like reactions and like additional content. So naturally, I think it's not that surprising to like if you've gotten views like on videos. So like some of the Meshuggah videos were getting like a lot of views. So I was kind of like expecting to see a few people that maybe would recognize, and there was a few. So it was really nice. Cool. But that was my first experience with kind of like meeting people that really watched the channel, that were actually really into it. So that was really nice to speak to that. And then after, there was a lot of people that reached out. Like when I put up the podcast video where I spoke about the entire event and like the whole backstage experience.
Yeah, man.
So many people were commenting on it and just saying like, I seen you, but I didn't want to come over. And like, it was like, I'd say it's that kind of like, I could see people that were kind of looking and I was like, they probably maybe know me, I guess. Cause it's like a long stare. It's like, okay, it's either I'm about to get punched or, it's like something's about to go down here or they're just seeing the content. So, but so it was like a few of those. And then after it kind of like reinforced that point because a lot of people were commenting and saying, hey, I seen you at the show. And I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like upset that I didn't come over and just say hello because there was a few people that I kind of just stayed with for the night that like, as I went by myself and there's a few people that I kind of just like naturally just was chilling with, so that was a pretty cool experience. So yeah, but other than that, man, like the band scene and metal scene in Ireland in terms of getting like talents to come, the UK gets all of the acts. So like across England, they get all the bands that go to it. So like, I mean, there's some big shows playing. I think like Era, like Architects are playing like Architects are playing across Europe at the moment with who are they playing with? It's Architects, Sleep Token and North Lane on the same line of playing. So that would be like my shit. Like I was
gonna say, dude, that'd be awesome.
But it's like, it's just, I have to like, because I'm working full time as well, it's not as easy as just saying, right, well, I'll just go for this weekend. Like I have to literally leave my country to go to see
Right.
And it's not just showing up at the event. It's like, right, I need to book accommodation. I need to find out how to get to this place because they're generally playing in like some random venue that's quite small. So it's like,
right, you got to find it and everything.
It just becomes like a bit of a headache. So yeah, that's one thing that I hope over the next while will maybe grow a little bit more.
Yeah, man.
Like I think Era are playing in a big who are Era playing with? They're playing. I think it's like Era Invent Anime. Like there's a huge lineup that's playing in the UK as well. So again, it's just kind of like it's like it almost takes the fun away from going to it because I have to like think so far ahead and like planning how to get there instead of just taking a day off work and just getting on a train and going into town and going to see them. It just becomes more of a big ordeal.
That's hard, dude. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like I take things for granted because I literally can go to a show. I just have to drive like 20 minutes. And I can go like I live close to, I don't know if you're too familiar, but I live close to like Portland, Oregon, and like every band goes through that area. So I literally could go to like every show if I wanted to. Most bands make it through that. So I was like, dang, dude, that is a lot for you to go to a show, man. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, like, dang, I mean, look, dude. There is like Sleep Token were supposed to be playing in Ireland, which was actually like a really nice thing.
That's awesome.
Like it's nice to kind of like, I won't say be included, but it's like, it's nice when a band recognizes that Ireland exists, you know what I mean? Like it's like, they'll come and they'll get great support, man, you know what I mean? Like if they've got, obviously they look at their metrics and they say, right, well, is it worth coming to Ireland? Is there enough listeners here?
Yeah.
So like, I get it to a certain extent, I'm sure like Era will just be like, right, if we're going to go travel from, across the world, let's probably go to a place that we're going to be guaranteed to sell out a show,
For sure.
If they just went to Ireland, maybe not, but they'll understand that Ireland's not too far from, the UK, so they can just fly over if they really want to go see us. So like, I get their standpoint. Like, it's not like I'm completely oblivious to the fact that they still need to make money and it needs to make logistical sense if they're going to fly across the world to not sell out a venue. So yeah, like I get that, but that's just another thing as well. Like with the kind of feeling a little bit disconnected from the community, and I'm trying to make more of an effort this year, I guess, to just speak to more people. It doesn't even have to be like something like a podcast. It's just literally a follow on Instagram and just like, just getting involved, you know what I mean? But the shows, like I mentioned, not coming to Ireland is also a massive factor of that disconnect because I don't really get to like meet people, you know what I mean? Like it's
for sure
it's a lot of online stuff where it's, then you see like a lot of the guys who are over in like Toronto and that kind of thing. They all kind of, I mentioned them again, but Nick, Hardcore and Melbourne, I think they all live in Toronto or in and around that area.
Yeah.
So they can meet up at shows and like, they're all kind of in that clique. So it's easier to kind of feel a part of that community, so it's kind of a disconnect, but look, it's definitely a lot of love from the digital side as well. So it's nice.
I love that, dude. That's super cool. That was awesome, man. Yeah. I appreciate your honesty about all that. I think, that can be hard. It kind of makes it feel like, because you love the music just as much as we do, but you don't really get that opportunity to go see those shows. Like my fiance and I, we were talking about like, dude, we want to go to Ireland. I'm like, dude, that'd be so cool to like visit. And I'd be like, dude, that would be like really sick. So I'm like, we've always thought about that. Yeah. Yeah,
no, Ireland's a great place, man. But it's expensive at the moment, to say the least. But if you're only going for like a holiday or a trip or something like that, I know a lot of places are expensive at the moment with the way the world's gone. So, but Ireland in particular is quite expensive. But no, man, it's a great place to come and visit. So if you ever do decide, let me know and we can do a little link up, sure, that'll be
fun, absolutely. That'd be really cool. I'd probably be later down the road, but I'd be like, dude, I would totally hit up Drew. That'd be so sick.
Yeah, like it's not as easy to just travel across the world as it maybe comes across, so look,
for sure, man.
I'm here, man. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, so I'll be here.
Awesome, dude. Super cool. Well, again, I love how I love the Meshuggah story, and I love how you did so many reactions to them. And I do want to kind of get your opinion on like reaction videos, like in general, like why do you think they're so important? Like why do you think these bands need them? I love asking this question because generally everyone has like a different answer. So like I would love to know your opinion. Like why do you think they're so important, especially to the metal scene?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I don't know if I have like a kind of a media trained answer to this one, but I never really thought of it from the point of view that the band benefits from. Now, like obviously this has changed over time, but I never got into it from the point of view of like, I've been a fan of this music for years and I'd love to kind of showcase these bands because obviously I'm coming from a different perspective of trying to discover the bands myself.
I love that. Yeah. It's cool.
To a certain extent, it's like the bonus for like the main thing for me is to discover this music because I love it. I can just look after myself.
Yeah.
But the byproduct of it is that I happen to be able to support the bands by bringing in new viewers. Like I did a video recently, like my top 50 songs of 2022. And again, this kind of goes back to like the way in which my channel kind of varies to a lot of the other channels, is that everyone's lists from this year, or not everyone's, but a lot of people's lists were like songs and bands they discovered that brought out music in 2022. Whereas my list gave me so much more freedom because I was able to do a top 50 songs that I heard. So I had like,
yeah, it's cool. I like that.
Like I had like albums from like 2012, like from years ago, and then like more modern music that was linked in. So like I really enjoyed making that video.
Yeah.
But to go back to the, you know, your question, I just come from the standpoint of like, look, if the bands benefit from all this, it's a bonus. You know what I mean? Like it's an absolute bonus to me. The main thing for me is I love music. I love metal. I've really gotten into it. I've felt a lot of love from like the whole metal community as well. So it's been absolutely incredible. And like the stereotypes around like metalheads and like all that kind of thing is just so like,
yeah.
Because we all, I kind of had them to a certain extent as well. But then when you kind of get into the community, some of the nicest people I've ever come across. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
the nicest people
like,
ever, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just, they have like this big like evil like persona of like, oh, these big weirdo. Like it's just like, grow up, man. Like, you know, some people are just so like, it's just like, come on, man. It's just like, you know, it's like saying that the Irish just drink all the time, you know, who would have thought that, you know? but yeah, no, man, like to be honest, that's probably the best answer I can give on that. Like,
I like that.
I don't focus too much on like trying to be this like light for record labels and this kind of thing.
Right.
I just do it for me, as selfish as that is. And the fact that it can be a byproduct of benefit to the bands is the main thing, you know? But one thing I actually will include is with record labels, it's interesting to see the I know there's been this like a hot topic over the last while, but like record labels and like should they be very hard on reaction channels, or should they just allow them to do their thing because it benefits both parties? I see both sides of the spectrum. You know, I understand that why maybe people could be annoyed because you could have a channel that's huge with a lot of subscribers and a band that is signed to a record label that doesn't have half as many subscribers.
Right.
They could put up a video that is very, very good, like, you know, really good music, really good video. They say they have like 1,000 subscribers. They're like a fairly new band. Okay. And then a channel with like 100,000, 200,000 subscribers comes along and like reacts to that. And if that band hasn't got their record label tied down, I can now say on that channel with 200,000, like my channel, say that, and they haven't got like correctly monetized, I can just completely leech all of their view. Like now the video that they've released, granted, I can bring a lot of traction to that video.
Definitely. But
from a monetization standpoint, I can completely monetize off that band. You know, I have a big audience that say 50,000 people watch my video and they get like 1,000 views. It's now their video is like when you search for that song now from them, my video is probably going to be at the top of the list. So it's like they've put all the work in.
I didn't even think about that actually. That's actually
it's kind of like
way to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do see both perspectives of like why it's important for labels to have some kind of a hold on, you know, what goes on in the scene. They can't like let people just go. Yeah. But the story I was going to bring up is that top 50 video that I did had like 50 different songs. So I was like, to be honest, I never even really thought about how much of it like a logistical nightmare it would be from a copyright standpoint with 50 different songs. Yeah. Like I never even like considered like this will probably get blocked. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't even, I was putting like 20-second clips of each song, music videos and everything included. Right. So like it never even crossed my mind. And the video went up and like did really well. Like you got really good feedback. It had like a really nice, I spent like fucking days editing that video. I never realized how long it would take because I had to like download 50 music videos and then like compile them into a list. I took like a day and a half, 2 days to actually just make the list, like actually put it in an Excel spreadsheet and decide which were my favorite songs because it was the hardest thing in the world, man. There was so much good music I discovered this year. Yeah. So anyway, point being, I woke up the other day and the video had like been out for like 10 days and like it did really well. Like it had like good views, like it got really good engagement. People were really happy with the list, blah, blah, blah. Like it got like good, consistent likes. But I get like that dreaded email where it's like your video has been blocked. You know that YouTube email you get? It's like, I hate it. Bro. It so hurts. I got that. Yeah, I see it. And like, I was like, hopefully this is one of my old videos that like is long gone, that no one's viewing anymore. I just see it was like top 50 songs has been blocked. So I'm like, oh no, don't do this to me. Don't do this. I spent so long doing this video. Right. So I check it out and I'm like, which track of the 50 has decided to ruin my 30-minute long video for a 20-second snippet? I was like, let's check. So it was The Death We Seek by Currents. I had that like in the list somewhere. Really? And they're with Sharp Tone. And this is where it gets weird because everyone else's videos from Currents are still on YouTube. Like Vengeance, like they brought out Vengeance recently, that single, The Death We Seek. My
Whoa.
channel, all my current videos got deleted, like completely blocked. I checked it on YouTube and everyone else's videos are still there. I was like, what's going on here? So
Dude, that's
I go onto Instagram,
weird.
like I start looking for like Sharptone's record label, like email, and I'm like, this is going to be a nightmare. Like no one's going to reply to me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I put in a dispute on YouTube because, to be honest, the disputes are like completely like you're treading on dangerous waters because
Dude,
I've
you
heard
are.
that there can be because realistically, I mean, they have complete right to just completely strike my video and say, look, you're using our content, so like let's not play around here. You know, like we own this content, you're using it. So I don't really have like fair, like, because you can like try and like dispute it through like fair rights or whatever it's called, or fair use.
That's what I usually do, and then I generally what I've done is like if I'll put it through and someone will look at it. If it says like our decision is final, we're not going to block it. I don't do it again because if you do, you'll get that strike on your channel. I was like, so after that, I'm like, all right, it's just not going up. That happened to me with a bunch of Slipknot, Disturbed videos. Like, all right, well, guess these aren't going up.
Yeah, you have to know when the battle's lost. You know, you have to be able to step back and say, do you know what?
Like,
it's probably not worth like any legal implications that can come from this. Now, I don't think they're going to crack down on like some channel that's just reacting to their videos. I don't think they're really going to go for it. But based on how YouTube describe it, it's like we're going to fucking invade your house. SWAT team is showing up at your house, and you're like, it gets like it's heavy shit, man. So I'm like, I'm not taking that risk. I'm not going there. So I've been there so many times where I'm like disputing it. I'm like, am I really confident that this is fair use? I'm like, nah, dispute. But so anyway, I put the dispute through, right? I just said, you know what, fuck this. I'm sending this because as far as I'm concerned, everyone else's video is still up, so they probably don't care that much. So why are they blocking my video? And also, it was a 20-second snippet from the track, and they blocked my entire 30-minute video for a 20-second snippet.
That's
and
insane.
There's 49 other tracks on it that didn't get blocked. They obviously copyrighted. They copyright claims my video.
I get that.
That's just I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like that happens in all my videos. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I don't dispute any of that shit. Like it's just whatever. Like that's why Patreon is so important to me at the moment. It's just like that's the only kind of like consistent income I can make from it. So that's it, you know.
We'll talk. We won't talk now. But I was gonna say I have questions about your like. I've never asked one this about like how they run their Patreon. We kind of talked about it in the beginning, but I'm excited.
Sure.
But we'll please continue. I'm actually curious to hear because like I don't want to cut you off there, but I don't want to say I work with Sharptone, but they send me stuff like early. Like they'll send me like they sent me like August Burns Red. They sent me We Came As Rum, like big, not even just like smaller bands that just got signed. They sent me The Death We Seek, and they also they sent me, well, they didn't send me, I did a reaction to Vengeance, and then literally the publicist was like, hey, we saw you react to it, we will just whitelist it for you. So it's crazy that you've had a problem with Sharptone. Like, I've done full album reactions with Sharptone, and it hasn't gotten blocked. I'm curious to see.
We'll go through it, because to be fair, I don't want to shit on Sharptone. They've been very helpful.
Yeah, they're great.
I'll explain the story. So basically, the video gets blocked, and I'm like, right, okay, it's a bit of a time-sensitive video because it's to do with 2022, and we're like 10 days in, and it's still getting views. So like, I want to get this like resolved quick, because you know, in like another month, it's irrelevant. It's now 2023. We're a month in. You know, it's kind of a time-sensitive video.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, look, these things happen. Like, I've been here before. It's not that big of a deal. I'll just try and find someone to contact. Email Sharptone, nothing. So I was kind of like, okay, it's been like another day now. So I'm like, okay, right. And I happened to be speaking to Metalburb at the time on Instagram. We were speaking about something else. I think it was the new Sleep Token release.
Nice.
And I just mentioned, I think I just said, here, look, by chance, while I'm speaking to you, do you have a connect or a contact for Sharptone? And he said, like, I think at the time he said, no, sorry, I don't have one. Like, they're kind of hard to reach out to or whatever. I can't remember exactly. But then like a day later, or like a few hours later, he said, you know what, I actually do have one. And he sent me, I think Jessica is her name. I don't know if you've spoken to her before. Jessica from Sharptone.
That's who I work with. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jessica, to be fair to her, has been brilliant so far. She's still
so
ongoing.
Nice.
She's been really helpful. Like, a lot of times you just kind of get like generic, like copy and pasted responses, but like she seems genuine. Like, she does want to help. So I explained the situation. I said, hey, Jessica, look, this is my channel. I do videos. I support the band. I did a like top 50 video for the end of the year. It's a little bit time sensitive. So like, what's going on? Like, I see other channels, the video's not blocked. Look, you know, I didn't want to come at them from like a very, like, you know, when you want to get something done and people, you know, like,
dude,
like I've worked in, you know, when someone comes to you and they're very aggressive and like, you just like, I've worked in all sorts of jobs in my past. If someone comes to me and they're very nice and polite, chances are, if there's any scope to get it done, they're going to get it done for you. So, you know, kill them with kindness. I come at her like a really, like, you know, try to be as like, I'm not assertive isn't the word, but like I wanted to get my point across to say, look, I'd really like this video to be unblocked, but I also was very like polite about it, because I don't want to, you don't want to piss someone off, because then you're just not going to get anything done.
Yeah, for sure.
So I explained the whole situation. I just said, hey, look, and she was very good. She got back to me. She said, hey, Drew, let me look into it, blah, blah, blah. So like 24 hours passes again. So at this point, we're like 3 days into the whole like situation. I'm like, this is getting a bit annoying. But the video just pops back up my channel. I'm like, we're fixed. It's back. Like Jessica was like, happy to do it. She explained the whole like whitelisting situation. She said, look, Drew, if you want me to add you to like the whitelisting list, we'll send out an email to like all of the reactors that have been in contact with us before. Yeah. And, we very much so promote this, style of content. Right. So it was brilliant. I was like, yeah, add me to the list. Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's cool. But just for the moment, I'd really like to focus on the issue at hand, So she obviously got the issue sorted and it was back up. But then I wake up the next day because it was up for like another few hours. I wake up again because people were like messaging me like, hey, Drew, like, where's this video gone? Like, I was actually I was going on Spotify and like copying your list into my playlist. I've been doing it for the last few days.
Okay.
And like, now I don't have the rest of the songs. Where's the video? So I was like, fuck, people are actually kind of like asking me for this video.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I like send the unlisted link over to Jessica and she's like, yeah, it's weird that it's blocked. I don't know why, whatever. But basically the video got blocked again. Like after it being like, because the video got unblocked and I never got like any correspondence from Jessica to say, hey, look, we've unblocked the video. I just assumed something was done in the back end. Yeah. And that was that. It was back up. All I cared about, the video was back. All I cared about. It was, I didn't care. So that happened. And then I wake up the next day and it's blocked again. I'm like, I look at it and then it says like, hey, Drew, your dispute has been denied. So what I think has happened is, so before I reached out to Jessica, I put a dispute in. So I disputed the video. And again, this is like all the shit that people don't see. Like, it's just like administration shit that just gets so tedious that like, to a certain extent can take the love out of what you're doing, because it's like, I don't want to spend the next day, 3 days emailing a label back and forth to try and just get a video that I put days into just to get it back online. Right. And by the time I get it back online, it's probably going to be irrelevant anyway, because we're like already halfway through January in 2023. But it's just like, it's more just like, it's not even for like people to be able to view it again. It's more like so I can have it on, public, because I put a lot of work into it. You know what I mean? So I want to have it there. Yeah. So anyway, I think what happened was I put the dispute in with Sharptone and it was sitting like idle until someone looked at it. Mm. And then in the meantime, I spoke to Jessica and I think Jessica probably unblocked it for me. But this dispute, for whatever reason, still stays like attached to the video. So I think then what happened was it got unblocked and it was back up and I was happy. But then I'd say someone else from Sharptone or whoever, I don't think it's actually Sharptone that deals with the blocks. Yeah. It's like an external company that like owns everything or something like that. So they just kind of like, they're kind of like the figurehead for all this kind of thing, I'm pretty sure. And I'd say what happened is some other guy or, some other man or woman was looking at the dispute and hadn't any context of me and Jessica's conversation and just said, hey, deny. Like that's still within our right. So, like
that's hilarious.
That's dang, like, this is me completely like, what I just explained to you, I actually explained this like theory to Jessica. I was like, hey, Jessica, this is probably what happened in my mind. Like, because you were okay with me unblocking it. You guys got it back on for me. But then the email that I got said your dispute has been denied. So it kind of came back to like, okay, well, maybe someone else was involved that, didn't know the conversation we had. So she sent me like a list of like things I need to send her on. So now it's just more admin shit that I have to do. And I'm just like, and then she was kind of saying, can you possibly re-upload the video and we'll whitelist that video? And I was like, it's the 14th of January now. Like the video was 2022 related. It's just I was like, I'd rather just take the L and not have the video on the platform than upload it again. Like no one's going to watch it now anyway, because they've already seen it. Anyone who wanted to see it has probably seen it, so I was like, So that was just an annoying thing. Yeah. So we're still in disputes, that one. Not even in dispute. That's the annoying thing. She's literally said it's okay. And she said she'll whitelist me for future videos. But like I noticed that my Vengeance video, the Debt We Seek video. So I don't know if my account has just been like, yeah, watch out for this guy, He's up to something. So I don't know.
Oh, that's I just think that's all I think it's just all crazy, because I've had troubles with a few labels where mainly like Century Media, where for example like Lorna Shore, everyone's gonna mainly I don't mind Lorna Shore. I do react to them because they do bring in some views, but I don't mind their music. But all their music videos get blocked, and I've tried to dispute it, and I've always lost that battle. So it's like them. It used to be Fearless Records, but I think they're kind of a little more lenient now. But most record labels that I've worked with, or like especially Sharptone, like they've been like, yeah, it's just crazy. They've been really supportive and stuff, and like nothing I've done for them ever gets blocked, which is really nice. So
didn't Lorna Shore? Sorry to cut across you, but didn't Lorna Shore like blow up because of reaction videos, and now the record label's blocking them? Is that a thing?
I'm not sure actually.
Didn't they become very popular because of reaction videos?
I think so. I think so. It's funny. I never really listened to Lorna Shore until that what's it called? To the Hellfire. I never really listened to them. I was
First time I heard them.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, dude, you gotta react to us here. And I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. But then I tried to do with the music video in there, and it just kept getting blocked, and so I had to like cover it and stuff. But yeah, I think I think definitely react videos helped Lorna Shore for sure, just like blow up to the level that they are now. I mean, they're like they went on a tour, every show like sold out. I'm like, that is literally insane, dude. But I think react videos definitely helped Lorna Shore for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just because it kind of brought in a lot of like different audiences as well, because of the shock factor of the vocals.
I think so too. Capable of. Yeah, even my mom, I showed her the, and she's like, what is this?
Yeah.
So my mom's seen the video, so it's like, like I think the vocals were a bit. I think Will's a big part of it for sure.
Like, I mean, he's a serious vocalist. There's no.
Yeah, he's great. Oh, he's fantastic.
I've been on record before. I don't really like Lorna Shore. Like, I get they're like a spectacle band to me.
Totally.
Like, from a musical standpoint, I don't really fuck with their music. Like, that's just being brutally honest. But,
no, that's okay.
Like, they're like kind of gatekeeped to like a certain extent. I actually seen a TikTok earlier on that I sent to my friends where it was like bands like this are the reason that I get called weird because I listen to metal music. And it was like Lorna Shore's To the Hellfire. And like, look, don't get me wrong. I understand that, like, you know, it's like a niche within massive niche that is already so, you know.
Yeah.
It's just not for me, you know. I've tried a few times, and it kind of has become like a thing where like a lot of my Patreon community like really want me to like check out their new album or whatever. The EP was it like Pain Remains or something?
You haven't heard it yet? Pain Remains?
I haven't heard it. No. I've been kind of avoiding it because I know I'm gonna not like it. I just know I'm not gonna like it. I know that's very like a bad mindset to go into a video with, but maybe I will. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I jammed the whole thing on my Patreon, and a lot of my patrons really enjoyed it. I just was just honest. Again, they're not really my cup of tea either, but I do appreciate. I mean, it's cool how big they've gotten. I'm not a big fan of like super duper long songs. They have songs on there that are like 8-9 minutes, and for me, I'm just like, it's hard for me to stay focused when it's that long.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you didn't mind To the Hellfire, there's a lot of just the big breakdowns, insane vocals. So Pain Remains is a heavy boy. It's a heavy boy. It's a pretty lyrically, it's pretty powerful. I say the lyrics probably are like the best part. They're pretty in depth and pretty emotional. So I liked it for that aspect. So if you do listen to it, I actually would love to know your thoughts. Like, shoot me a message and I'll be like, let's talk about it, dude. I liked it. Okay. Yeah.
It will likely be a video at some point. Like, it's been on my, like, the polls. I know we'll get into this, but the polls that I use on Patreon to decide the videos. It's been like getting decent votes, but it's never really like topped out. So I'm sure just by process of elimination, eventually when all the bands that are getting voted all the time, they kind of like, it will get picked at some point. And I will go on, I'll be honest. And like, people aren't going to like what I have to say. If it's going to be like the same, like I liked the Hellfire Club. Was it the Hellfire Club? Is that what it's called? To the Hellfire. To the Hellfire,
yeah.
Hellfire Club.
Isn't that I think that's a Thornhill song, To the Hellfire
Hellfire Club. Yeah. So what was it? No, so I don't know. Like, I appreciate the vocals. Like, I know it's definitely not easy to do by any stretch of the imagination. I can understand the technicalities of their music. I know it's brutal, but it's just sonically not for me. And I think that's okay to say. You know, I don't think it's
absolutely
really
that's okay.
Yeah, like, their fans gatekeep them a lot. You know,
yeah.
The bands, like the fans, can be brutal. You know what I mean? It's like if you say anything remotely, you know, constructive that isn't positive, it's like, right, okay, you know, you're this like hater now. It's like, no, it's just being honest, man. You know,
dude, I put up it was funny. Speaking of that, I put up a poll. I put up like a couple of pictures on my YouTube community tab, and I said, I don't know if you're a big like Star Wars fan. I don't know if you've seen Star Wars: The Last Jedi, or if you've seen if you played The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know if you're into those types of games.
Man, to be honest, I don't watch movies at all. This is like something that I always get like a lot of abuse over. But like I don't watch movies.
That's totally fine.
Maybe I've like seen the Star Wars. I used to play the game. I used to play like Star Wars Lego, like his Lego Star Wars. I used to love that game, man. Yeah. So that was like the only kind of like real connection about the Star Wars. So anything like movie related, I'm just like,
no, that's totally
smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Like I'm just kind of like, bro, I have no idea, you know?
No, that's totally fine. I was just saying because like that movie and The Last of Us Part 2, they're all like super controversial. Like people either love it or hate it. And I compared that to Pain Remains, and dude, the comments that I got were like ferocious. I was like, it was mainly a joke. I was like, I was kind of kidding, but no, it's definitely something to listen to at least once, I would say.
Of course.
Yeah. And
absolutely. It's spectacle. It's like, look, it'll always be one of these bands that will like you mentioned, I think earlier, it'll bring in views, you know what I mean? It's going to get views, but it's again, like the old me, like we discussed already, would have like jumped on that instantly, you know what I mean? Like views. But now I'm just like, I know I'm not going to really like it. It will get a lot of views, but I'm just kind of like, I'd rather spend that time that I'd spend, like, because like we've discussed, my time is limited with videos because I'm working and everything else that comes up. And excuse me, I just burped into the mic. That wasn't very professional.
No, I love that. I mean, maybe I like that kind of thing, dude. Don't worry about it. You're all good, dude.
Oh god, but look, so where was I going with that? I distracted myself with my own burp. Man, for fuck's sake, where am I going with this now? Oh, we're talking about Lorna Shore. This is the second time this happened now, and I'm like, Lorna Shore, You
crack me up, dude.
Bro,
I love it. That's so. No, I'm used to long
form content, but like, when it's live, it's different. You know, it's like I have to like actually pay attention to where I'm going, because otherwise I could just sit here for a minute and I'm like, right, Drew, just edit this out. And sometimes I'll talk to myself in a video and I'm like, Drew, editing this right now, just cut all this out. You know what I mean? But now I'm like,
no, I like
time
it,
to just sit around and do all this, you know. But yeah.
No,
anyway, I don't think what I was talking about was too relevant anyway. But yeah.
No, all
Lorna
good.
Shore, not bad, not a bad band, not a bad band.
For sure. Yeah, I respect them for sure. I think it's cool. I'm definitely more in the realm of like metalcore. Like that's my niche. That's your baby. Yeah, dude, it is my baby. I'm actually me and my friend are releasing a new song. We're shooting a music video in February. And then we'll have a song come out, I think, probably the end of February. So it'll be, it'll be sick. I might hit you.
I think I've seen you're doing like vocals or something. You do vocals? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I do vote. Yeah, we did a song. We did a song about 7 months ago called "What Have I Become," and we have a new song coming out called "Defiler," and it's pretty sick, dude. I was gonna hit you up, see if you react to it. So maybe I'll
absolutely, man. Yeah, send it on to me anyway, and we'll have a look. But is this like a 2-man project?
So it's mainly Micah's project. I'm just coming on to do like the screaming feature. Like he has like guitar, a guitar player, drum player. Like it's all done at like his house. Like he has like a warehouse that he has like in his backyard, and we just shoot the music videos in there. So yeah, it's super
nice to have that kind of facility, man. You know, to have somewhere you can go and do that kind of shit. You know.
Yeah, dude. He literally lives like 25 minutes away. So I was able to go over to his house and record over there as well. So yeah, it's pretty sick. So yeah, it's I'm really excited about.
Absolutely, man. So. Yeah, send it on to me when it comes out. I'll probably see it before you even send it to me. Like, you know, I'm following you on Instagram, so
for sure
I'll be there. I'll check it out, man.
Absolutely, dude. Okay, so I got a few more questions for you, dude. I've loved this conversation because I love how genuine you are, dude. Like, that's one thing I've noticed. Like, dude, you're very genuine and you're very funny. I don't know if everyone's ever told you that. You're really funny, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Dude.
I'm going red here, man.
Dude. I mean, I'm telling you, man. So
I appreciate it, man. That's very nice of you.
Of course, dude. So again, I kind of want to go back to the whole 114,000 subscribers. I know we kind of talked about like that in the beginning, but that's still a really cool number. I mean, that's cool to like show people like, dude, look how many subs I have. And I don't mean that to be like a selfish way, but either way, I would be extremely proud. I mean, either way that you look at it, like you put in the work, dude. Like no matter if you're following trends or doing your own thing or whatever, but like you still at the end of the day put in that work. And so I'm actually really curious to hear from you. And we kind of talked about a little bit, like talking about trends and stuff, but like if someone were to come to you saying like, dude, I really like they're like, I don't want to be like, you know, like that sounds weird. Like I don't want to be like you, but I want to like see, I want to see my channel like grow a little more. Like, do you have any like advice that you would give like a smaller like channel, like for example, I guess mine, I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers. Like, is there a way for me to like bump it up, or do I just keep putting in the work and the drive, and maybe one day it'll happen? Or do you have I
mean, I don't really feel like I don't feel like a kind of like Mr. Beast character here, because there's like a lot of ways you can look at YouTube.
Oh yeah, there's
a personality aspect. Yeah. There's the hardware standpoint, the really technical standpoint of just making sure your thumbnails are the best they can possibly be.
Okay.
I'm at the moment, like I edited my videos on my phone for a long time, like literally up until the last like kind of year and a half, I was editing my videos on my phone. Like I did all my thumbnails on my phone. Like I just used iMovie, like I recorded on my phone. So that's a good starting point. If you're kind of like a lower end channel and you're worried about like the best tech and everything like that, man, I've only started upgrading in the last 6 months. Like my shit was like a phone, like no external microphone. Like, you know, obviously all that's a bonus. But at the end of the day, if you show enthusiasm, I think enthusiasm is a massive thing. A lot of people will come on and just be like, hey, what's going on, guys? You know, like it's like instantly I'm like, boring, get off my screen. You know, like it's people's attention spans aren't, you know, that long these days, as you know. So like if you can just be a level of like enthusiasm, sometimes I'll get on. And this is what's nice about my channel as well at the moment, is I feel like because my content has gone very long form, when I do long form content, I can just come on and whatever mood I'm in that day, I'll just say, hey guys, what's going on? Like, you know, it's very just, people like to sit down because it's long form content. They're kind of, I get the impression that they're sitting back, you know, with a beer, with their dinner. And they're just like, they don't want to be just like, they don't want to be screamed at, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there's a time and a place for it as well. There's a time and a place for like the enthusiasm. I don't mean like fake, because I've done that as well in the past where you're like, you know, you kind of see the big YouTubers like Mr. Beast still like, you know, it's like, hey, like they're really focused on like audience retention. So that's like a big part of it.
Right.
If you really want to go down that route, it's not a bad thing to do, but it can come across very disingenuous. Like it can come across very like, it depends on the viewer. But I think if we're going off of like a like reaction channel and wanting to grow that, I think people can see through it. It's like, okay, man, we get the enthusiasm, but don't overstep it, you know, like don't be this annoying, like almost kids reality TV star that comes on, you know, it's like, it's almost just like chill, you know. I've been there, I've been through all the different phases. Like the majority of my videos are still there, so you can go back for like 6 years and see me being like a little cringe fucking 20-year-olds, 10-year-olds, geez, like 20-year-olds, and like, you know, so. But I mean, like that's kind of like just the cliche advice. I think the main thing is consistency. Like that's, everyone will say that. I've been consistent. I'm not talented. Like I'm not the most talented when it comes to like in this scene. I can play the guitar, but I'm not that good. I only started like a year and a half ago.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's
like,
cool.
Yeah. Like from a talent standpoint, I'm nowhere near compared to a lot of the guys that make videos.
Yeah.
From a production standpoint, that's one thing that I can definitely control. And I like to, like, I pride myself on audio and visual aspect. I try and do the best I can. I'm still like nowhere near where I want to be. Yeah. But something that I think you can have direct control over, so you should put a lot of time into it, you know. Dude. Why spend like a lot of time being consistent, or like don't spend a lot of time like the intangible stuff that you can't really control, you know what I mean? Like don't spend too much time trying to focus on your personality, because at the end of the day it's going to shine through if you're trying to like mend your personality. Be yourself. That's a cliche one, but I think focus on what you can control. And one thing straight away is your enthusiasm to a certain extent. You may not always be the most enthusiastic person, but if you're going to want to make a YouTube channel and you want to be successful, using the examples and the way you set up the question of like wanting to grow your channel, no one, unless you've got like a very dry sense of humor that's like funny to certain people, which is a very, very hard thing to pull off.
It is.
Like a lot of, like it's like one of these things you either have or you don't. Like don't try and do it, because it's again shines through. Right. Add a little bit of spice to what you're saying. You know, like don't try and be funny, because that's also very easy to spot. Like don't be like trying to make all these like quirky remarks that like aren't really you. Try be as genuine as possible. And this isn't easy to do. This takes skill, because you know, you need to really define what you're doing with this. It's over time. And again, this is consistency. It's getting used to what makes you comfortable. You know, you may have to do like 100 videos where you're just not being yourself 100%. Right. But eventually you'll kind of get to the point where you're just like, you know what, this is exhausting, because you do get exhausted being someone that you're not, you know? Yeah. You need to just really practice. And it seems easy to be yourself, man. Like it shouldn't have to take time to be yourself. Yeah. But as you know, when there's a camera involved, it's hard. You know, it's hard, man. It's a skill. So really like trying to figure out like who you are and like becoming the person that you feel you are, as opposed to how people view you, maybe even from like your own personal life. Yeah. That's a big thing. But from the technical standpoint, like I said, the thumbnails, like huge. Like obviously if you don't have a good thumbnail, like that's been something I've been kind of learning over the last like, kind of few months.
Trying to get better at it,
yeah. I try to like I moved, like I said, from my phone over to Premiere Pro. I got so like used to the way I edited on my phone that I just like got stuck in my ways. Mm-hmm. That's probably another tip as well, is don't get tied to your own ways if it's not like the most beneficial thing, you know, like just try and get out of the habit, because eventually you're going to have to try and upgrade. Right. Like, I knew making thumbnails on my phone was not the most efficient way to do things. Yeah. But because I was so comfortable doing it, I just never really upgraded. But now I'm using Premiere Pro, Photoshop. So I use all that for my thumbnails. So it's just like, it's that initial, like my thumbnails sucked for so long because I was using a new software.
Mine too. They're awful.
But man, like they, like, to be honest, they still aren't like where I need them. Yeah, and it's just a case of like, again, it's all like, all this is like, can be put under the umbrella of consistency, because over time, you'll get more experience in Premiere Pro. You'll get more experience in Photoshop. You know, you'll start to see, well, this video did better because this thumbnail. Why is this? So you just start comparing. Yeah. So again, it's cliche, but consistency, the hardware side of things, focus on the production that you can control. Like, for example, this, like at the moment, I try to put as much effort as possible into my lighting, which is something, you know, I've struggled with for so long. It just gives me the utmost respect for people who do that for a living. Mm-hmm. Like one of my close friends, he's a cinematographer by trade. So that's what he does for a living. So he's been like very, very useful to have as like an asset. And you have to kind of treat these people as assets to a certain extent as well. Totally, like people that can actually benefit. You know what I mean? Like obviously he's my friend and everything. This isn't trying to be like, oh, he's an asset that I can use. But I could go on YouTube and look for all this information. Like he has all of this in his brain. You know what I mean? Like, and he's been so helpful, like, you know, setting up my camera, which camera to go with, like, you know, obviously the microphone and that kind of side of things. He wasn't too into the audio. So, but just from the video production side of things, he's been so helpful with that. And like, obviously I still message him every day and like, you know, silly questions, but knowing the resources that you have available to yourself, use them. You know what I mean? Because some people just don't even like bother reaching out. They're just like, oh, well, this is what I have. Like, I'm not going to try and upgrade. So that's probably all I can think of right now, you know?
That honestly was probably some of the best advice I've heard. And I mean that sincerely. Like, that was actually like really, like, listening to it, I was like, because I relate to that, because I go back and watch some of my older videos, like when I first started, and it was so bad. And I just wasn't, you know, I actually did try to force, like, you know, I tried to make people laugh, but again, it's more of like within like the conversation. Yeah. And I was like, dude, this wasn't great. And dude, yeah, like a lot of that I was able to relate to. So I think that's honestly some of the best advice I think I've gotten. I'm going to definitely probably have to cut that part and like share it and be like, okay, if y'all want to do this, listen to this guy. Like that was really good advice, dude. And it was just so honest and genuine, dude. Like I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you. That helps me. Yeah,
of course. Well, whether that works for anyone else, I don't know. I can only speak on my own experience.
Right, exactly.
This is how I've kind of, this is just like the after years of trial and error, like I don't know how many 100 videos I've done, but like, it's just, you know, you get used to what works. And again, I'm still figuring it out. And that's the main, never think you have it figured out as well, man. Like I'm still,
that's also
like,
really
trying
good
to figure
advice.
out shit, you know? So it's just like no one has it figured out. Like even Mr. Beast every day is like, how the fuck do I make this better? You know, it's just, you know, it's a very rare scenario where anyone has it figured out, you know, because the algorithm's always changing as well. So
it's insane. And I love that, dude, where it's like, again, you watch your channel and it's like, dude, this guy's like very well, you are professional, but like it looks so nice and everything looks like audio sounds great. But then it's like, you're telling me like, dude, I'm still learning. And I think that's really relatable because they'll see that sub count, like, wow, this guy still like he's just like me. You know, I love that. I love that aspect of like, of being able to like learn from people who you think like you know what you're doing, but like just kind of going like, oh, it's kind of like that saying. I always say like you're not alone, like with anything in life, and I think that's a really, really cool thing. So thank you for bringing that up too, man. That's awesome, dude.
My pleasure, man.
Super
appreciate
sick,
it.
dude.
My pleasure.
Dude. My pleasure. So I actually I lied. I said I had two more, and now I actually have two more. So I was gonna ask you really quick, like, I've never asked anybody this, and I figured, you know what, you have a good amount of patrons, and so I do want to ask you about this as well, and then I'll ask you like a music question that will kind of get things wrapped up for you here. But how do you? So a lot of people have actually asked me this, and I don't know how to give them an answer. I won't throw him under the bus. You're a good guy, but he was asking, how do you run a successful Patreon? Everyone runs Patreon so different. That's why I like Patreon, because everyone does it. Like it may be like full album reactions and stuff and polls and stuff, but everyone does it differently. I mean, it looks like you're fairly successful on Patreon. You have like 300 plus patrons, which is incredible. So like, I mean, that might be kind of a cliche answer too, but like, how do you run a successful Patreon, at least in your eyes? Like, how do you run that? Like, help me too. I can always learn.
Again, audience size is always going to help, because the more people you have watching your videos, the more people you can bring to Patreon. So it kind of ties into my last answer with like the whole content. Focus on the content. Don't focus. I know obviously your question's about the Patreon content, which is a question in its own right. But first and foremost, if you want to build a successful Patreon, you need people to join Patreon.
Right.
So the first thing is focus on your content. Make sure your content is to a certain extent as pristine as it can be. I found that the success from my Patreon, like I started like my Patreon years ago, but I completely like, I basically posted, I knew I wasn't going to be consistent anymore. So I just posted a message like, hey guys, everyone unsubscribe, because I don't want someone just sitting there having like a direct debit come and paying me every month. I'm not going to be. So transparency, huge. So that was like something that I kind of pride myself on as well. Like I wanted, like I could have easily sat back and said like, there's like 40 people here, like paying like every month. I'm just going to not upload. But transparency, be transparent with your audience. Again, there might be some people that just say, you know what, I'm just going to keep supporting the guy regardless, which is obviously huge. That's amazing.
That's huge.
But that can come from that transparency. You know what I mean? If you're transparent, people will see like, you know what, maybe I could cancel, but you know, he's being honest. So let's just keep supporting him, you know? So that's one thing is huge. Be transparent, not just across Patreon, but across your entire audience. Obviously with YouTube, if you're being honest as possible, I think it's very obvious. The audience on YouTube is huge. The more people you have watching your videos. So put a lot of time into what you can control, like the production, like I mentioned.
Yeah, definitely.
Being on top of things in terms of if you say you're going to do something, try and do it to a certain extent. I know I'm probably not the best example of that. I'll be here at this time, and then I show up like 25 minutes later. But you know, there's obviously there's unforeseen circumstances, so I'll give myself a little bit of a pass on that.
That's hilarious. No, you're good, man. Yes. It really wasn't a big deal, dude. I promise. It happens, dude. You're all good, man.
Yeah. So the focus on what you can, like try and be like, if you say you're going to put out an album reaction, if you say you're going to do this, blah blah, do it. You know what I mean? Like try and make sure like people have trust in you. Then the like I said, the production side of things. Try and give, like, I found what I noticed the growth that, like, my Patreon kind of has grown over the last 6 months. I started it like about 6 or 7 months ago. So, like, it's gone really consistently well.
Yeah.
But I do pride myself on the fact that, like, a lot of the initial videos that I was doing, like, I was editing, like, the fuck out of them. Like, I was putting in, like I was doing a full album reaction, like, over an hour long. And then, like, whilst I was, instead of just, like, me clicking play and listening to the song, I was going the extra mile. I was spending days editing reactions. Like if you look back on my Loathe, I edited it and it took everything. Like I put like days into that edit. Like now I look back on it and it's probably over edited, but like again, this is just trial and error. You know what I mean? This is going back to it. But I think like, and again, I put that as a full video on YouTube. Like that wasn't like it was what I started my Patreon was doing a like early access. So people, if people wanted early access, they could just get it on Patreon for like 48 hours early. Nice. And then I just put the whole video on YouTube anyway. I've tried and I've chopped and changed different things. I know a lot of people do the format of like putting a highlight video up.
Yeah.
Which I'm not opposed to because at the end of the day, look, I put all this content there for free. Like YouTube doesn't pay from an ad revenue standpoint because of the copyright.
Right.
So, you know, I spend so much time in this. I feel like it's justifiable that I can maybe, you know, certain times put up a highlight video where I don't actually release the full video and then I promote the full video on Patreon. You know, no one's really missing out. Yeah. A lot of people actually like the highlight videos. You know, people say, I couldn't be bothered watching a full hour-long video. I just want to watch a highlight of the album reaction, which I've seen mixed reviews because I was kind of always of the opinion, people are going to be annoyed that I've started doing highlight videos because they've become so accustomed to me putting out the full video on YouTube.
Exactly.
But then the flip side is I've actually seen comments where it was like, when I put the full video out, they're like, oh man, where's the highlight videos gone? I'm like, I can't win. I cannot win. On, man. No matter what I try. But like, again, you can't please anyone. So, to not divert too far from the question is try and give, because a lot of people have Patreons, try and just do something a little bit unique. Like even if it just means spend a little more time on editing, you know, to give people a reason to say, right, well, look, this is pristine content, you know, this is premium content. So let's, you know, pay. I think just being genuine, if you just kind of see it as like a way to, like I will say like at the end of my videos, like if you want to support me directly as a creator, like I don't try, like obviously I kind of use that as if you want to support me directly as a creator, and then plus you'll get these benefits. So like it's almost like you know, you know, it's like, you know, again, it comes back to the relationship. If you can just be honest and all the time, people will like want to support, you know. So so the main things: focus on the audience that you can on YouTube, build a community on YouTube. Try and respond to as many comments on YouTube as you possibly can as well.
I try to do that
because that's a good thing, and I need to get better at it in 2023. But it just comes down to time. I see every single comment because I'm on my phone 24/7. Like my screen time is ridiculous, but I see everyone's comments. But there's only so much I can reply. I have to give myself a break as well.
Oh, I get that.
I try and see everyone's comments. But I think even just replying to comments on YouTube is a very good way of like, because some people will like pour their hearts out on comments, like really in detailed stories about how they found a particular album. And like, I'll just see that sometimes and I can't respond to it, you know what I mean? But like, if I can just find the time to do it, I will. Yeah. So that's a huge thing about, again, just overall community where you want to like build a relationship with the person. Because if they put that much time into a comment and you just don't reply, like I'm sure a lot of the time they'll put that comment down and like, they might not even come back to it. So they might not see your response, but if someone else sees the response, it just builds this, like this guy actually genuinely cares. And that's not like me saying I'm doing this to make it look like I care.
Oh, sure.
I genuinely care. It's just I want to have time to do everything else that allows me to push the channel forward. It's trying to like manage your shit, as you know. So
it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, the perks on Patreon is obviously a massive thing, like what you're actually giving.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like stuff that I think a lot of channels do. Like I am very big on the polls. So I let the community on Patreon decide what album's next, which is always nice because again, I have like the back catalog of albums to get to. I've got so much shit to do. Like, bands that I love now, like North Lane, I still haven't heard all their albums. So like I need to get to them at some point.
Oh, dude. Yeah. You got to jam Alien, dude. Have you heard Alien?
No, I've heard Singularity, Alien, and Obsidian. I need to do, was it Mesber and Node, I think?
Yeah.
So like I wasn't the biggest fan of Singularity, I think, just because I got so used to the production on Alien and Obsidian. Going backwards has been, again, that's something that's kind of made my channel a little bit like different, because a lot of people have heard albums from years ago and they go in like, the order that in which it was intended to be released. Whereas I'm kind of like, I started with Obsidian, then went Alien, then I went Singularity, and now I've got like their two, older albums. So it's like, again, that's kind of like, in a way, without me intending for it to be, it's like a perk in itself, because I have a lot of older albums that people maybe haven't heard in years. Yeah. They're like, oh, this album slapped. And they have built the connection with me from all the other things I mentioned. And they're like, I'd love to see this guy's reaction. So early access is good as well, because it doesn't mean that you have to defer from like putting the content on YouTube. Yeah. Trying to like keep a healthy balance of like not excluding people who can't afford a Patreon. Like I know it's only to some people might be like, say, €1 or $5 or something. But, you have to consider that some people just genuinely don't have that additional money lying around. And I'm very conscious of that as well. But it's trying to find that balance of wanting to look after every single person in your community and also having to look after yourself as well. Like you really need to focus on that. Like the way I look at it is I'd love to be able to do this as a full-time job. So to a certain extent, I have to treat it like a business, but it's like trying to like,
definitely
really find that healthy balance. So the way I try to do it is just be as genuine as possible. And then I can implement the business side into it just by default. So, if I'm as genuine as possible, it means that, I'm focusing on giving the music the respect it deserves, trying to be as genuine with my community as well, replying to as much as I can, getting back to everyone, on Patreon. I reply to every single message I get, like through DMs. That's another thing as well.
Yeah.
You won't always be guaranteed to get a response on YouTube, but Patreon, my DMs are completely open. So like,
love that.
I kind of devote a lot of time, like to just, I won't like reply instantly because it's just too much, but like I'll let them build up kind of, and then I'll like just spend a few hours just, hey, what's up? Like, I'm just get back. I'm just like building again, that community.
I love that, dude. Yeah. That's really cool.
So these are just small perks. I don't really like promote that as a perk where like I will reply to your message, but it's just by like that sounds so fucking that's it just sounds like I'm a fucking arsehole, you know what I mean? Like, just, I will if you pay for me, I will reply to your message, but like it's not like that, it's
dude. You're the farthest thing from that, dude. You are so nice. Yeah. Seriously,
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, like I mean, the other perks that I run on Patreon is the early access, like 48-hour early access.
Yeah.
Obviously the polls, so being able to kind of have a say in what comes next. Okay. Then what else do I do? There's other shit. I just trying to think. Anything gets blocked. Obviously, we live in a copyright world, so anything that does get blocked. Yeah, exactly. That goes straight on. I paid for a Vimeo membership. I paid way too much money for that shit. Like it was like $500 a year. Like literally just upload videos to the cloud. It was ridiculous.
I pay like $248. I just do for the 20 gig per week thing.
Man, I went all out and just said fuck it. But I don't even use it anymore. Like I just put them unlisted on YouTube, and half of them don't get blocked anyway. So
yeah, that's why if it gets blocked, I will put on the Vimeo. But if not, I just still do it as unlisted. That's honestly that, and I have Google Drive as well. That's just it's more of like a just in case thing. But mostly it just goes unlisted from YouTube, and I usually don't have any problems. So it's pretty nice. Yeah, and I think Patreon now you can actually upload it directly to Patreon.
I've seen that, man.
I haven't tried it yet. I was thinking about maybe trying like a small video just to see if it works, but I don't know, it's kind of and you get like 500 hours, I think, which is actually not bad. So I maybe
that's 500 album reactions as far as I'm concerned.
That's true.
Like if you have an hour-long album, like so. But yeah, no, I did see like an email or something about that, but I never really looked into it. But I must check that out.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
In terms, like I think that's pretty much it, man. Like I love can't think of anything else. But yeah, like I mean, it's just cliche stuff, man. It is obviously it's just be true to yourself. Try to be genuine. Exactly. Yeah. And people see, and it's just again consistency over time. It will grow if you're doing the right things in the first place. It will grow.
I love that, dude. I think that's really cool. And again, like. People always say it's like typical stuff, but it's like it's because it works, and like and like honestly, if you love it, you'll put in the work. Like when I do YouTube, like that's one thing every day I wake up and I'm like dude, I'm stoked to put out like at least a video today or a podcast or something, and I love it, dude. And so it doesn't really feel like work, but I'm seeing like, some good numbers and stuff. And I just absolutely, I love that, dude. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I had, again, a couple of people ask me, how do you run a successful Patreon? Like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, maybe I can ask Drew, because he like actually, he looks like he's doing pretty well on there. So I was like, that's
well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
dude.
you so much.
So my last question for you before we get things wrapped up for you. So I love asking this question here. What are, and you can say how many you like, what are some of the best bands that you've discovered through like doing reactions? And I'm talking like, you listen to it and you're like, it is downloaded on Spotify and you listen to like, there's like a part of your life now. Yeah. Are there a few for me, I'll tell you, and I watched a reaction, dude. Mine would absolutely be Sleep Token, dude. I discovered them. Someone's like, you got to check out Alkaline. And I listened to their music all the time. I was in Florida when the new songs came out, so I listened to them when I was there. And I'm like, dude, these songs are so sick. And I watched like everybody's reactions to them. I was like, man, I wish I was home doing this. But those songs were incredible. But yeah, is there any bands that you discovered? And
there is Sleep Token. Absolutely, I got into Sleep Token with The Offering. That was the first time I heard them. Great song, yeah. And fucking fell in love with that song. That was like, God, I've had so many different like YouTube setups since then. I used to film originally in my bedroom, in the box room in my house, and yeah, that just brings me back. It's like, do you ever like think of like songs when they mark a particular like period of your life? Like it's kind of like you all the time. Say, like it's funny when I even think about it. Like I don't put a lot of thought into it, but when I do, it's like I can remember which setup I was in, like because I've just gone through so many different like camera angles, different rooms and stuff like that. So like The Offering was like, I'm pretty sure I heard it at this. Maybe it was the start of COVID, or it was definitely during COVID at some point, because I remember it was in my bedroom. And yeah, man, that song is absolutely incredible. So Sleep Token, yeah, definitely. I think that's one of these bands that, again, like similar from a musical standpoint, not similar to Lorna Shore, but from like a community built band. Totally. They've definitely like had a lot of push from like, channels pushing them. So it's fun now to see it come full circle, and like now they're really like blowing the fuck up. It awesome. Always felt like a band that has a lot of pull and a lot of reach to like really do big things, but they just never really like, it just hasn't clicked yet. But now it just feels like this year is going to be huge. I think that was the way they dropped those singles was like really like well done. Like I don't know if that was like massively intentional, but like I came home from work because they dropped it at like 12 midnight on a Sunday, I think it was. Yeah. Maybe I'm not. And like, so it was 12 midnight for me. So I was like going to work the next day. So I was like, I'm not staying up that late to do this, because I have to like record the video, edit it. I'm up in like 6 hours. I was like, look, it'll still be there tomorrow. So I reacted to it when I came home. And then I finished work, reacted to Chokehold, and so good. Edited that video, put it out as soon as possible because I wanted to, stay somewhat relevant. Yeah, and then for sure. I literally just uploaded that video and I was like, right, turn off the camera, turn off all the lights, I'm going to bed. Yeah. And I checked my phone, it was like 12:15 and it was like 15 minutes ago. It was like Sleep Token. The summoning. The summoning. You're like, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And I check my comments, and like my YouTube comments was like, there was like 10 comments in a row within the last like 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. I was like, bro, Sleep Token just dropped again. And I'm like, oh, it's gotta go to bed. I'm so tired. And I was like, you know what? I was late to the first one. I'm gonna be the first person to get a video. Yeah, you got it up quick, dude. Yeah, man, I was first person on YouTube to do it. I was the first person. I was checking. I was like, I'm the first one in, and I got that out within like the hour of it being uploaded. Yeah, and so that was those 2 tracks were brilliant. Really, really enjoyed those. Oh, yeah. They've grown a lot on me, to be honest. I think I was so like confused by the fact that they dropped again that I didn't really. It was weird. Yeah, I just didn't really like have time to process like that they just dropped another song, you know? So I've since gone back and like listened to them obviously in their entirety a few times, and like, yeah, man, them tracks, it's just Sleep Token being Sleep Token. And even like the like, what do you call it, like funk section at the like, on the summoning, beautiful. I loved it. Man, like at the time I just kind of like, I didn't really like react, so to speak. And like a lot of comments were kind of like saying, I love how you just didn't say anything and it was your facial expressions that were giving away everything. Yeah. Like I was just sitting here like I was like, even by their standards, that was like a weird sound. It was like weird. They're a pretty like quirky, like different band that like to experiment, for sure. But even by their standards, I was like, but that part is like probably my favorite part of that song now. Obviously, the breakdowns are sick. Yeah, the breakdowns are sick, man. But like, we've heard breakdowns before. I know, like it's like these moments in songs are just like really make his track stand out. Definitely. At this first listen, it felt like a lot of different songs put together. It didn't really feel too right, but like now when I understand the whole like flow of the song, it just feels so good. So
It's so good,
that one,
Yeah.
Sleep Token, yeah, for sure. Like 2022 was probably the biggest year for me in terms of like just overall discoveries of different bands, because I just did so many albums. Like as before, I was just going through singles. It just took so long to like get a single out, and then I'd do a whole album like via singles. So it'd just be single, and I'm not really getting to know the band, because they've obviously put a lot of time into like chronologically making the songs work so that, you know, song 1 to song whatever 10 or 12 is telling a story, whereas I'm just like jumping in at track 8 and then like track 2, you know, just like it's defeats the purpose of the work that the band puts in most cases, if it's like a concept album or something. So that was like, so 2022 is kind of like the year I just kind of like, obviously I do all like the singles that come out like that are popular, but my main focus is the albums, because I want to just like actually discover like projects. It just feels a lot more complete, you know, and it's nice to have something buying the vinyl to market. So Bad Omens, I would say they stole 2022 for me. I don't think there was massive releases in 2022 from like the general consensus. Actually, funny enough, all 3 of these albums, to be fair, these are all 2022 releases. Monuments had my heart for a long time.
Nice.
They've been a big band on the channel in terms of just like the overall enjoyment I've gotten out. They haven't been like the biggest band in terms of like viewership and that, but it's just, I love that band. John Brown's writing is just like, just being like someone who plays the guitar like on a very basic level. He just, like, John Brown's writing is just, it's phenomenal, man. His bouncy gent guitar riffs are just so technical. It's just like, it's just one of them things that it inspires you to play the guitar, but also like completely demotivates you, because I'm like, you know what? What's the fucking point? Where do we go from here, you know? But Obsidian, North Lane, I'm naming albums here, I should probably go through bands, but yeah, North Lane blew me away in 2022. Bad Omens is a band that I jam all the time. Like I know their album kind of gets like mixed reviews. A lot of people have it like as the number 1 album of 2022, but then like I think the more kind of metal elitists acknowledge that it's a good album, but there is a kind of a few filler tracks on it. If you're a metal elitist, I think it's a filler track, but I love The Weeknd, like outside of,
Me too, dude.
You know, from like a, so I really appreciate, I love the album. Like, even like from the pop sound. I know it's kind of like overly poppy in some parts, but I love that, you know, I just think it's such a cool mix. So
me too.
Yeah, I love that album, that Bad Omens, and I've gone back and listened to a lot of their older music, man, and they've just been so good. Like even their heavier stuff that was compared to Bring Me the Horizon, that whole comparison is always there. But it was nice to see, because 2022 they've like really just like completely separated themselves from that comparison. They've just created their own sound completely. So yeah, they're sick. Valjarta, they are like the most fucking phenomenal band from a technicality standpoint. Like that Thal sound is just, that blew me away in 2022. Invent Animate, they are a band that I fuck with so heavy, bro. Like they had that top 50 tracks that I did. I had Shade Astray was like number like 30 on the list, and then I had The Sun Sleeps at like 15, and then I had as my number 1 I has As If It Never Was from, you know, the EP that they released. So that was like my number 1 track that I heard in 2022. So like that, I fuck heavy with that band. I need to buy some of their records, their vinyls to have on the wall. Who else we got here? Like anything with Buster Aldholm in it from Valjarta and Humanity's Last Breath, just slaps. Like I love that fall sound. They've really got me into it. Like before, when I first started, like I would have hated that sound. It's too like intense, but now I've just like my ears developed a lot more and I just love it.
That's awesome, dude.
Who else? Thornhill. The Thornhill, I fuck with Thornhill heavy. I really love the Dark Pool. Not too big on was it Heroin? What do you think about Heroin?
I didn't like that album at all.
You really?
Oh, I hate it.
Whisper it. Don't let them hear. Don't let them hear.
I hated that album, dude. I like the Dark Pool a lot. And that's cool. They wanted to mix up their sound. It's not the sound for me, and I couldn't get behind it. Not a fan of it at all. So certain songs were good, and then it just felt a lot of it was like overproduced in certain parts, and like the vocals were just like really like thinned out. It just didn't sound as genuine as the Dark Pill. But look, I appreciate a band trying to take a risk and do something different. A lot of people like that album as well. So look, each to their own. Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
That's it's all opinions at the end of the day, man. You know. But I'm probably missing something. But you know yourself, there's so many different bands.
I know.
Tesseract, like I said, you gotta do Altered State.
Yeah.
If you do one reaction, I want to see what you think of Altered State by Tesseract. That's definitely one I'd love to see your opinion on. So that's your homework. That's your homework that I'm assigning you. Yes, your homework.
So you have to like send me a message to remind me. Yeah, I'll try to get around to it, dude, for sure. I would. I'll definitely check
Absolutely,
it out.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely. Whenever you got a free moment. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Well, I just got to say, man, this has been a great conversation, and I mean that sincerely. Like, you are so cool, dude. I really wanted to get to know you because I was like, I didn't really hear about your channel until that comment, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, this guy seems so cool, and so I was like, I want to get to know this guy. So, dude, like, sincerely, thank you for coming on. And I do want to give you this chance if you like, if you want to plug your socials or anything like that, and we'll kind of wrap things up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, YouTube is just Drew Fortune, and then I don't really use any other socials. Like, I use Instagram as like a personal thing. I was actually recently thinking about like making that my personal Instagram and then creating a new Instagram for like videos, because I kind of don't like the blend of the two. It's kind of like friends from like my local area that don't give a fuck about metal that have to like put up with my shit about like posting stuff. So it's kind of like, maybe I should separate the two, but I've got like a lot of people that follow me on there because of it. So it's kind of like this, again, it's like this transitional period that we spoke about, like going from like a phone editing to a phone. Like, I just need to just get out of that mindset and just go and do it. So yeah, YouTube, that's pretty much it, man. That's where if you want to find me, you can find me on YouTube, Drew Fortune. So
sick, dude.
Yeah,
I'll make sure to
Everyone is
link that
welcome.
up below. Yeah, dude, I'll make sure to link that on the YouTube video and everything. But dude, Drew, thank you for coming on, dude. I really, really appreciate you coming on, having a conversation with you, dude. You are genuinely like super cool, dude, and I love talking with you, man. And
likewise, man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, look, I'm sure we'll chat again in the near future, my friend.
Absolutely, dude. Well, again, I want to thank you all so much for again listening to the Chandler Burton podcast. Always remember that you are loved, and until next time, I hope y'all take care, and thank you again, my man.
Cheers.